cannot find this Korok to save my fucking life. And then my wife comes along because I told you she rinsed that game with her friends. In terms of the Korok hunting between them both, all three of them. Sorry. I goes, where? I'm like, where the hell is this? Is this Korok? I can't work it out. She goes, and we're like in this like broken down village area. And she went, oh, I know this. When you need your horse, so you need a horse, and then you had to gallop and jump over 3 fences in a row.
No, I've never done that.
And then a Korok appears. I was like, what the fuck? I never do that shit. Crazy.
Huh.
Some of the shit is like, how do you even think of it?
Yeah, I would never have got that if she didn't say anything. Because I was in that area for ages, absolutely ages.
Huh. All right. So,
I can already imagine when like you're British shit, your wife tells you that, and you go like, "Fuck off."
I gotta find that now because I've never done that. Never done anything involving jumping the horse other than wasn't there one of the side quests where you had to do a horse race thing around?
Yeah, I tell you
that
what
was hard.
That when you had to shoot with the arrows. I mean, fucking hell, the targets on that shit. You had to be fast.
Yeah.
You pretty much had to be galloping and using your bow and arrows. It was hard as fuck, man.
What's up, Donnie Arts and Mizutide?
Mizutide 89 Ben.
Yep. So yeah, we're live. Everybody's here, and we're talking about Breath of the Wild 3 fucking years later. God damn it. What's up, Laker Link?
Laker Link, what's going on?
Guys, hit the like button. I don't know if the like button actually helps, but
yeah, let's go.
I know we get hardly any likes compared to the views we get, so I don't know if that helps. But I was telling the guys, really. I was out driving.
Gashmad in the house. What's happening, Gashmad? So that's Nomad, by the way. Yeah.
And I was for work last week. I was out on the road, so I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna listen to the past like 4 podcasts because I'm sitting here trying to think up topics and stuff, and I realized long ago, and then I just kind of forgot that when I listened back, I missed so many things. Like Terrell had a great joke about dreams where he's like, I've been sleeping on that game, and I didn't even I don't know if I didn't hear it or I didn't get it,
catch it.
But I was laughing my ass off. But I was just like, man, we had, not to toot our own horn, but most of it's, you guys, so I'm a small part of it. But just listen to the discussions we've been having. Like, god damn, like, I don't care what anybody says. Like this, we're having some good discussions, and why the hell are we not getting 10,000 views and shit like that? And
YouTube is broken, my man. Bro.
And I was like, but one of the things we talked about briefly, which kind of I listed as the title, but I don't know how much of a main topic it is. We'll talk about it later. Was I completely forgot about? Somebody brought up Terrell. I think brought up that. The Switch has another 5 to 7 years or something in its life cycle, and I was like, "Well, that's a whole podcast. We'll talk about that next week." And then I completely forgot about it.
We never did,
because I talked about that in my live stream. But anyway, we'll get to that later. Got some Discord questions we probably should catch up on. And the other news,
you better not be skipping over Animal Crossing on purpose because you hate that shit.
We had Animal Crossing Direct. We had a Witcher 3 update. What else? What can you say? It's Animal Crossing Direct.
Go on a whole Animal Crossing.
People that love Animal Crossing watch the Direct. And it just gave you some info about what the game's gonna be.
Oh man, it's time for the retro is loose. Let's go retro.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess if you guys just want to say like what was the thing that's new, because I don't know. Like, what is the new thing that this Direct told you that just got you so excited? So I'll just
tell him, boys. Tell him, boys.
Go ahead, guys.
The main thing is just the landscaping. The fact that you can create land and water where you want it. Like, it is seriously, it's such a ridiculous improvement. It's the kind of shit only Nintendo can come up with, where they give you things you didn't even know you wanted. Like, that's how that top tier level and shit. I already see myself building mansions with like the moat in the front and the waterfalls coming down around it. Like terraforming shit.
I was watching retro as well. When he was talking about his video, he's brushing back his hair, and with him doing that and talking about Animal Crossing and landscaping, and that was sexy.
and how could we not like? It's so, you're right, Richard. We were talking about how it's stuff that we didn't even know we wanted. Like, how many times have you played Animal Crossing, and you went somewhere, and you're like, God dang it, I got to go all the way around this way.
Yeah.
There's only this one, like it
You
just
couldn't
gets
add
annoying.
bridges before?
One bridge there or something.
You couldn't add bridges?
You could build bridges in New
but
New Leaf, okay.
Yeah, but not like
Yeah,
you
you
can't just start randomly adding bridges whenever you want.
right.
Because
So
I
what
was
you couldn't build, what you couldn't build was like stairs up onto the other levels, or you can
Yeah.
Right.
Another thing is that at one point they you could pull out a ladder, then climb the ladder and just grab the ladder off, so you could just casually start climbing cliffs.
Yeah, it's like Breath of the Wild. You can go anywhere.
yeah, because I'm playing. I resumed my New Leaf. I started it. I got my tent, and that was about the extent of playing New Leaf. But after the direct, I started playing it, and I'm like, I got this one fucking bridge it's like, why is there only one bridge? So like you gotta constantly go back around, and I mean.
No, because the thing with the bridge is you get in the end you have in New Leaf you have 3 bridges, but that's like any game. You gotta build up your shit. You gotta earn shit. You don't have to be in standing, and villagers have to request shit and everything.
Yeah.
So you slowly build up. So you have to be so extremely careful with your bridges. Because it's like T said, even after you have 3 bridges in the old games, sometimes you still have to go all the way around because there's a length during cliff.
I mean, does it get?
And now they circumvented all of that.
Does the actual like main area get any bigger? Because it's like it's really tiny.
No.
Okay.
No.
Again, it's not meant to be a huge map. I mean,
no.
I think because we don't know how big New Horizons is, but it has to be big enough because this is the first time you can actually have 8 player built houses on your island.
And all the shops as well.
Yeah, and then you have all the shops and the other villages. It has to be the biggest so far.
Oh no, I'm sure it's the biggest, but I'm sure it's still not big.
I thought it was
what people are building. Like by the end of some of these people's like builds, it's gonna look like they're not even on a damn island anymore. It's gonna look like straight up, landmark, huge piece of land.
Oh yeah.
Whatever.
I will say, as somebody who doesn't have a ton of experience with the game, the thing that stood out for me was like the little trips you take on the little plane to different random islands, and some of those are completely varied. I don't know if that was in another game before, but like one looked like a desert.
I mean, there were little islands that you can go to. You used to use Capin, who was the little what was he, a toad or a frog? What was he? Toad.
And he was a kappa,
Yeah, you get on this little sailboat, and he'll take you to like some little random deserted island, and you can swim out there. You can find special beetles and stuff like that you couldn't find on your normal islands. But this one now is obviously just taking that to the next level, going to randomize it, and for the first time as well, we're seeing the different types of trees and islands that we haven't seen before. So we saw like a desert one, didn't we? With like some funky trees on it and
Actually,
stuff.
let me put the direct up on screen.
Be out there mining for shit.
Yeah, exactly. I'm surprised we didn't actually see that. I mean, at the end of the day, you still got like a shovel and stuff, and you saw on the other islands with him hitting loads of rocks that were dropping loads of money. So I think some of these islands will be random, maybe like money sinks or just like bug hunts and stuff like that you can go to. Or
it's gonna have this new kind of feeling for adventure. We just go to a random island, and with all the extra movements, like you can go up cliffs, you can go over rivers and shit, all that stuff. Like it's like going on expeditions.
It'd be like Death Stranding.
Yeah, we saw them sprinting and then just over the river as well. So it's got like a sprint mechanic in there, which is
I've seen somebody jump running from a tarantula. So anyway, Robert, what's the best, most exciting new thing to come?
Well, that's the thing. I think we all have pretty much the same one as the landscape. I mean, that's the hugest one. I mean, it's a massive change where it's just like every single person's island is going to be crazily different now. I mean, obviously depending on how much you really want to rearrange it, you could have a damn water world, dude. I keep saying it. Holy shit, you could
just have each house on its own little island.
Yeah, exactly.
You can make a new Venice.
That's where my favorite thing comes in as well. It's not just the landscaping. They've given you full control of the island now for where you want to place pretty much
everybody's house. Yeah.
Literally everything where you want it, and to much finer detail, because even like when we built houses and bridges in the older games, you put it on like a plot, but sometimes the plot wouldn't be once it was created, like the bridge or whatever, it wouldn't be exactly perfectly where you wanted it. It's almost fit like in like a giant square type of area, and you would look at it and go, okay, it's in the area that I wanted, but not quite perfectly where I wanted it. So the fact now that you can literally, put everything
wherever
exactly
And
where
then
you
you're
want.
like, and then you're happy with finally, like, you learn to live with the location of the bridge. You're kind of happy with it. You make these nice little bushes around it. You plant some trees. It's perfectly done. Bam! They drop a new villager house. Everything's destroyed.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
oh,
that,
it's
that,
empty camp. There's that now too.
yeah, that happens.
And now
which,
you can add.
or now again, 3 years later, you know what? Let me move this shit. Let me rearrange everything. You just have one big rework, or even a big thing that I love, and I just can't wait to get my hands on.
Even like picking the islands at the beginning, you're not stuck with that now because you can pretty much change the
and you
island to
have choices.
how you see fit. You're just gonna eventually change it to how you want. One day you might feel like just having like a beach resort, and then you can just easily set up that beach resort without worrying about deleting or destroying anything and not getting it back type of thing. It's a
You already saw like some people who also like because sometimes you have those villagers you don't really like, and some people are like, yeah, you can build like this prison camp, you put a fence around them, a moat around them, you dump all their houses in there. It's so good.
Yeah, keep them isolated, hungry.
Yeah.
This sounds pretty illegal. I'm just gonna throw that out, man.
Because that's what I said. Like, I like the fact that you had like a separate shopping area, but I can create my own shopping area somewhere. Put all my stores somewhere I want. Create like a street there. There's like crazy things you can do now.
Like a street you have, that'd be fucking awesome. I like that.
Yeah.
And with the pattern, make your own little street pattern.
So, Terrell, what was your most exciting part from the direct?
Why ask me?
Expand your horizons, man. You got to expand your new horizons.
Expand your new horizons.
New horizons. I thought it was a cool.
I think this is a game we all gotta buy.
It's one of those things where I would say like it didn't do a lot for me personally. I see what Juice was going for, but I'm actually gonna take the question seriously. I thought it was cool, and actually probably would say the coolest thing is literally expanding the land and shit. I think that's a cool way of creating your own variation on an island. So where, like, to me, the most unique thing you can do other than changing the houses and the villagers is to change the landscape itself. I'm curious how far you can expand outward because they give you the ability to move to like create land mass. Or I'm curious if you can make like your own islands or something, like with like mini islands or something.
Yeah, make a little peninsula that connects.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never thought of that. I can't.
There's got to be a limitation.
I kind of feel like where the beaches are surrounding, I feel like you can't really build.
Once you hit the ocean, I think that'd be like a physical barrier, pretty much. So.
But I mean, you can create your own island in the island now.
Oh no, yeah, again, yeah.
I will say though, it's a really clean looking game. Like it visually, very appealing.
That was going to be my question. Do you think Animal Crossing brought more advancements to the table for this version than Pokemon Sword and Shield did coming from it?
It was going to happen.
Yeah, I can't answer that question, so you guys would have to. But
I can't really either, to be honest.
And
yeah, because most of us either like one or the other. Like neither of us are like into like I like.
Somebody
Pokemon.
would have to play both games.
Okay, number one, visuals.
Well, yeah, but I feel like that was the bait. I feel like that you were the interviewer. You know what you were? I'm gonna make a movie reference. It was like talking to Robert Downey Jr. talking about. So how you dealing with alcoholism and the issues with your
I wasn't expecting anybody to actually answer this. I just wanted to be asked.
Well, also one thing that I do want to say is and I always bring it up, I can't fucking wait for the Nook Mile stuff. Like that shit, there's pages and pages of those, and that's gonna be so damn addicting, and it gives you incentive to want to fish 10 every day or something every day, and
that is true.
Do different food, but imagine all the miles you get with those miles. You get furniture, all the normal shit, but you get actual reason to do them, and I think that's a massive.
This is a brilliant stroke. brilliant.
This direct made me feel so bad for Clocked. Like I see me and Robert like we're visiting like I go to visit Robert's island and shit, we're having fun, like see all the cool shit Robert did and everything, you know. I bring him back to my island, show my shit, and then we both travel to Clocked and this whole village is like burning on fire and shit.
What about me? My island gonna be
exactly. Oh yeah, we gotta bring T, or we'll go to T. I mean, whichever one.
I think we're.
I'm
I
saying
think
because
guys
Clocked
can,
usually has to share his shit, you know.
TT's all right. He's got like 1 million switches in his house.
That's why.
You guys can come
That's
to
true.
Juiceville
I'll have to worry
anytime
about
you
that.
want on the 3DS.
I don't know about
so
that, yo.
suspect, bro.
Got one tent.
Like what kind of town is Juiceville, bro?
Tomorrow morning I'll have a house.
Let's all squeeze up in Juice's tent.
Hey.
You literally have to wait till the next. Like you have to wait till the actual next day to get your house after you put the down payment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, you know
Hey
what?
man, that's why Nintendo does what they do when they come to this
the big thing with
cloud
this,
saving stuff.
honestly, I think a big thing with this game, it sounds like a lot. It's gonna be a lot of waiting. So, like, I mean, instead of that's kind of my huge question is we're talking about these landscaping, but who knows how long? Maybe it could be a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Animal Crossing is not an instant gratification game. It is a
you got this
gradual
24-hour, monthly, yearly game.
Right.
It's you do so much in a day, and then you come back the next day. It's that type of game.
That's that's one of the things I love about it.
Yeah, people should be expecting to not be able to landscape for like the next 6 months or some shit like that. Like I'm pretty sure.
And Robert,
damn, I mean 6 months. I mean, like that's
Robert is
and that's like a random number I'm throwing out there because you know like how the progression works. They say the island has to be complete. That means you probably have to have all the shops, like maybe have the villager limit up, and that shit alone will take you months.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I might be a little long, but we'll see.
I'll just say the biggest change right here I just seen. I didn't see this part of the direct. Is the quick weapons or item switching because that is a pain. That is so like that feels like I don't know if that was in the GameCube original. But
No.
Well, I mean, you can hit like the D-pad left and right to switch the weapons, but I think I saw in this direct that the weapon wheel thing that he brought it.
So if I want to take the shovel on and off in New Leaf, is there a fast?
Yeah, you hit the D-pad.
Yeah,
the D-pad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you would bring it up. So like you would bring it up and bring it down. Like you're able to bring it up.
To be fair, in City Folk, even though you went into the menu, it was quite quick using the Wiimote to point at what you wanted. Nowhere near as quick as a quick menu, but it was still quicker.
But this one's great because now it's like a goddamn weapon set. You get it home.
Yeah, you don't have to remember. Like with New Leaf, you had to learn which way the shovel went, which way the the net went and stuff.
I mean, this not to be focusing too much on graphics. Goddamn,
I don't blame
this
you.
game impresses the hell out of me. Like this is to me, this is like a. I'm gonna guess like it's like we saw it with Luigi's Mansion, and now we're seeing it with this, where it's like taking full advantage of the hardware, where it finally feels like these didn't start out as Wii U game type of things. Because I mean, I don't know if this. It looks like it's gonna run at 1080. I mean, I don't know why it wouldn't. But it's just like it looks so clean, the lighting, everything just looks so good. Like this
so it's not just the lighting and how clean it looks. With Animal Crossing, you see a lot of that, and like the details of the furniture, like the smallest like pencil in like a desk or some shit like that. It is so clean that you see every little object. And also when you put, you saw the clips where the animals, when you put a fish down in like an aquarium, like every aquarium looks different.
Oh, the museum looks really good.
In it, like it's so small.
And if I can take another little victory lap here, remember when they revealed it, on the what was that? Was it Smash?
Oh yeah, and I said, "There's no way the game will look like that."
No way it's gonna look that good. And I was like, I don't know, man. I think that is the game, and it looks like that was the game.
Wasn't that the Isabel reveal?
Yeah, Isabel reveal. That's what.
All right, let me bring that up.
Yeah, that was
it might even look better than that.
Isabel one actually like looks worse than what this is. To be honest, the Isabel part. To be honest,
like I said, especially the details and the textures and stuff like that.
Yeah. But I mean,
Yeah, it was when Tom Nook was talking there.
Yeah, he was at the desk talking, and you thought, oh, this is just like a setup for Animal Crossing character, but then, nope, it was the game.
Oh, where the hell? What was it? I thought it was
I'm
right
like,
before the
Nintendo was not
Isabel.
gonna waste. They're not gonna, not on something like that. I was like, they're not gonna waste the rendering and all that.
Notice how the Isabel looks good, but the actual places look pretty flat.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, what? No, it was the Tom Nook thing. What? That was in a direct. And I
The,
thought-
that was
the final thing.
It's all
It
one
was right
big
at the
thing.
end of.
Oh, was that?
Yeah.
It was after Isabel was. I thought it was before Isabel was.
No, it
revealed.
was after. It was
No,
after
after.
'cause
Oh yeah.
that's why it was more surprising because it was.
Again, like the whole thing is that I feel like the character models look really good, but in all reality, everything else looks pretty flat. Everything else, like in
Really is there, yeah.
very detailed.
Yep.
Everything has textures, little textures going on and stuff. Even the animals have a little like just texture going on with them.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, that's another thing that it's really nicely textured, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I think that
And
might
it's a
be
little
the
more
game.
focused. Like you can. I'll pause
Yeah.
it right here. This is zoomed out. It doesn't have a lighting source in this, so it'll be hard to compare. But you can see in the Smash one, like the light reflecting off the edge of the boxes and the desk. That's probably not gonna be in the actual game. But I mean, it definitely looks close. Like I was way wrong. I was wrong. I had to say it. Just like
Oh, I wasn't trying to.
just like Retro
Yeah.
Death was wrong about Byleth. I was wrong about saying there's no way it would look
so
this
wrong
good.
about Violet.
And some clumps of weed. I love the fact they say it's hilarious.
Donnie and Lenny are hoping for playable mini games of the arcade machines and stuff in this. I'm like, those days are long gone, boys.
Yeah.
Long gone.
Well, I saw a retro video brought up a good point that I remember in New Leaf, you had those island multiplayer games. That
Mhm.
would have been cool to bring back, but I guess they didn't bring that shit back.
I had no friends, so I just run around there by myself.
But it was still fun, you know. So I mean, they
Yeah.
should have brought that
I just
back.
remember how novel
Expanded.
it was to play NES games on
On the original one, yeah, I had
original game.
most of it just set up in my room. I was loving it. It was great.
Yeah,
I think
that
at
was so
one point
novel at
they
the
had
time.
like, I think they added to newly free DLC. I think where you could put a Wii U in your room and you could play one game on there. They added like one or two games on it. I didn't even know if they were original.
Hey, look at this this little
But
shot here.
yeah, it doesn't come close to what they used to do.
Oh, that's great.
Also, one thing that I wish they had, and I always said it'd be cool if they had one of the apps. Like, we still don't know all the apps that are going to be in this game. Like how the
Yeah.
phone apps for the Nook the Nook phone.
Mhm.
It'd be dope to have a damn like Twitter like app where you're like the villagers are tweeting what they caught today and saying, hey,
That's pretty funny. Yeah.
like, hey, we should do this. We should go out sometime. And then, I mean, that'd be fucking awesome. Every time I play like Spider-Man, they always have the damn Twitter thing going on. I'm like, a game that would be perfect for this would be fucking Animal Crossing, to have the villagers just doing their everyday thing while tweeting their opinions on stuff.
Yeah.
It'd
Or
be
maybe like
fucking awesome.
beavers.
Exactly.
Well,
That would have been
talk
nice.
about, we talk about Nintendo, sometimes not using the Switch features enough. But to be fair, when they use the screenshot button, they use it for their games. They first done it for like they did it for like Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey, when you're having to like take screenshots of those clues on the wall,
Oh,
so you
yeah,
can
yeah.
remember them and go back. And they've done it for Animal Crossing now, where they want you to take photos and use it for certain things, and they make sure that when they demonstrated it in the video, you hear the screenshot button from the console. So I think they put that screenshot button there, and they like using it. So
It's very cool because they built it for the game, so they'll know.
I mean, Sony doesn't essentially do that, with the same mindset, with the screenshot button and stuff, as Nintendo. So
Yeah,
at
well,
least
a lot of games you go into photo mode and you like hit A or X or whatever to take a photo, which saves it or automatically, or you can use the screen hold the share button on the PS4 to take a actual screenshot, depending on the game. But yeah, I think it was
That
Odyssey.
button needs to be redesigned because it's not very ergonomic.
No,
that share button.
And it's like I use it in like the Breath of the Wild DLC when you had
Yeah, I
when,
did too.
when the pillars come up and you had to look at the pictures on the pillar. I took photos of those.
Actually, I used the in-game camera because that was
did you?
it was
Yeah.
quicker.
Oh,
It was quicker
yeah.
to go back
Yeah,
and
you're
forth
right.
from the map.
I might have done both actually, but I remember taking it.
You could tell it was an afterthought on PS4 with the way it's designed. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
like
it's a
it's so flat,
multi-purpose.
it's almost into the.
I hit that
controller itself.
touchpad way more. It's way easier.
I know. I end up hitting the touchpad.
I actually
all the
really
time.
like the touchpad as a button, as an extra button.
Yeah.
For the games that use it, because it's like it technically can register the right and left separately, like press on the left side or right side. I mean, most games don't utilize it much, but
it works really good.
You know what game does use that nicely?
I think Gravity Rush uses it. Gravity Rush 2 uses it pretty well. Days Gone though.
uses it pretty nicely.
Really?
Yeah, like when you have the touchpad, if you swipe it up, left, right, or down, you come in different sub-menus of the menus. If you want to go to the map, you can swipe instantly to the map without having to go in the pause menu. And the same if you want to like upgrade your skills and
yeah,
shit.
that's
like,
cool.
it uses it pretty well.
They had that on The Witcher 3 as well. I think that's quite a normal thing to chuck in there. But it's still cool, like you said, just for that quick swipe thing,
So yeah, I mean, overall, if Ori and Doom weren't coming out, within 9 days or the same day as Animal Crossing, I might have been tempted to pick it up day one. But it looks like a game that, I'm more interested than I was now that I've seen the direct.
Because you mentioned the Doom thing, I love all the shit on Twitter where gaming magazines are posting, what game are you picking up in March? Like Doom or Final Fantasy or whichever one. And then like the Doom account is like, I'm picking up Animal Crossing. Because they didn't mention Animal Crossing. And then like the official Doom, like mentioned like Animal Crossing and shit. Like it's so weird.
It's like, will Isabel be there? It's funny.
Yeah, it's like, to the people that aren't into Animal Crossing, like
those memes
me
are
and
also
Terrell, no person's normally not going to think of Animal Crossing when somebody says, "What are you getting? What's the big 2020 game?" But for the Animal Crossing fans, it's like, why the hell are you leaving this game out? Because like you guys said, it's a big popular franchise.
Yeah, it's gonna sell 10 million plus easy.
It's gonna sell 15, maybe 20.
On
the low end, it's gonna be 10 million.
Yeah,
I'm wondering what the highest. I think the highest selling one's New Leaf, and it's like 11 million or something.
Yeah, the girl who sits opposite me in work, she hasn't played Animal Crossing since Wild World, and she's like, I'm gonna get a Switch Lite for Animal Crossing.
Interesting. VG Charts added a total series sales tab that I'd never seen before. So the series total is at 34 million. New Leaf sold 12. Wild World sold almost 12. Well, it was 12.5 for New Leaf and 11.75. And then the console versions are way less, 4 million and 2.2.
This coincides with Juice calling Animal Crossing kind of casual, and where I say it's a system seller. There's literally millions of people that buy the 3DS, or in this case, the Switch, just only play Animal Crossing. It's massive, this game.
And it also goes with the whole concept that I said Animal Crossing is kind of a handheld franchise at this point, because, it's clearing away. That's where the audience is.
You're never really going to see me touch the handheld portion.
You can't deny, though. You're talking 25 million to, like, 6,
Hey, man, those 6 million people are 6 million.
It's not in the Wii's case. It's different. But
we should have sold 20 million.
Wasn't a huge seller to begin with.
Why did the Wii version only sell 4?
Would also just that a lot of people,
I think. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying that a lot of people were actually underwhelmed by City Folk. Because apparently it was a much more just upscale Wild World, which in my opinion sounds way better because it's a lot less limited and stuff. And so to me, I've always way preferred that over Wild World. It wasn't even.
But it's still.
What year did it come out?
2008.
2008.
Yeah, it should have.
I guess that was.
I think, and this could be another discussion.
Oh, it was 2009.
I felt that way with Mario Kart on Wii. Like, really, this is what you guys are doing? Like, it felt like a minor jump over Double Dash. I know that Wii wasn't that much more powerful.
Oh, you mean visually?
Than the GameCube. Just overall, the game itself. They added the bikes, but that shit was kind of broken, and the online was a cool addition for sure, but it just felt uninspired. I mean, I just remember playing it, thinking the tracks like, man, I don't really love.
I will rate Mario Kart DS all day.
It's my least favorite. I love Mario Kart DS way more than I like.
So it sounds like Animal Crossing was kind of the same situation where it was like, this should be better. Like New Super Mario Brothers Wii should have been. I mean, it was a good game, but it should have been more. It should have been better. Going from a DS to the Wii. So, but
yeah, I mean, those are your two factors there. So you have the low-selling GameCube, and then you had people way more on the DS than they were even on the Wii. People were all about their DS, and that's why you had crazy DS sales.
I mean, DS was non-gamers had DSs, and Animal Crossing is definitely. I mean, a casual-friendly game. I mean, it's appealing to a
wide audience,
non-gamers and gamers alike. Not a lot of game series can say that. Like it's either real like serious gamers are into it, and the casuals aren't interested to certain games, and that one's just one where it's like they both come together. So I think if 3DS, if DS did about 12 each, I mean, the franchise is only, in my opinion, it's only becoming more broad spread, just with the Switch being huge, and with the Direct, I didn't see what the views were, but I would think this would be the best selling Animal Crossing, and potentially
I'd be shocked.
But I mean, 12 million.
You have a lot of amazing stories also when it comes to Animal Crossing, where you have like people say, yeah, my grandma used to play like New Leaf for like years and years, and then she died. This is like a real story. Then she died, I think. Then he booted up the game, and he got like hundreds of letters that his grandma wrote to him and shit, and he was reading all these letters.
Oh, man.
So
that's gonna be pretty hard to read.
I'd be crying my eyes out.
And Nintendo's got that very what I don't even know what color to call it, DS Lite coming out the same day, so they know what they're doing.
Oh yeah,
it's like a hot pink.
Light red. I think it looks gorgeous, but
hot pink, light red.
Yeah, Robert, you wouldn't be.
It wouldn't make sense.
Playing that out in public with Catherine full body.
What happened?
I said get that pink DS Switch Lite and play Catherine full body on the go.
There's also a pink full body Catherine one.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, get the pink Switch or whatever,
fit with Catherine,
and then play Catherine on the train or whatever.
Because Catherine's full body's design color scheme fits with the pink,
and it just would. I think it'd be a funny look for you.
This fruity motherfucker.
But yeah. So there was that. The Witcher 3 just got an update on Switch, which is, when did the game come out? Was it
2015?
No, on Switch.
October, I think.
Was it October?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah, it's not too long ago, is it?
So it ain't been that long, maybe like 3-4 months.
I think, honestly, for a lot of people, I think the biggest thing's going to be that the cross save with PC with Steam. And what's GOG? Is that Epic's or
GOG.
is that
GOG? Yeah,
I've never heard of GOG.
It's not Epic's. It's just another store for
their own.
You can get some good cheap stuff. I've
really?
Quite a few.
I've never even heard of that. But
yeah, they have good sales as well. A lot of this stuff go to charity as well. So.
That's crazy. That I've never heard of that. And all these years I've been gaming on PC since 2013. But so yeah, you can. I mean, your saves. I mean, it's got look like it had about 15 different saves. You can jump back and forth. It's like, to me, that just completely changes the reason to buy The Witcher 3 on the Switch. There's a lot of people. I mean, they probably aren't. It's kind of, if it wasn't late, if the Switch or PC version didn't come out 3 years ago or whatever, this would be even like more appealing. Because then I could see, like, PC guys, like I said about some, the hypothetical of Nintendo had games on PC with cloud cross saves, between the platforms. For like The Witcher 3, if it was a newer game that people were currently playing, I mean, people still might do it. They'd get it just for the portable aspect and just to play it, at work. Like Robert, you said at work, now you're playing the Switch a lot more than you did before.
Oh yeah, I play literally like an hour a day.
Yeah, and then you just, I mean, once you get to the Wi-Fi, or if maybe you have it where you're at, you upload it, and then you just get on your PC and you just download that save file and continue on. Like, that to me is like, that's a game changer for third parties. Like that would be a selling point for the reason you'd buy the third party game on the Switch, because starting over with The Witcher 3 is going to way less appealing than
You say that though. I'm sure recently with the news that it was confirmed that the because of the Switch version, The Witcher 3 sales went up something stupid like by 999 fucking percent or,
Oh,
or
really?
some shit like
went
that.
up crazy.
Just now, or when the Switch version came out, you mean?
Well, is with the Switch version came out with
Plus
the release of the Netflix series, and then
yeah.
with the and then obviously with the news of the updates and stuff like that, just sales kept on going up and up and up. And I mentioned earlier that now CD Projekt Red has become the second biggest developer in terms of revenue and stuff in Europe. I think they're only about 1 billion in revenue behind Ubisoft.
Damn.
And you have to think about CD Projekt Red's catalog compared to fucking Ubisoft. My God,
it's super
they
small.
put out a game every 5 minutes.
and you
Ubisoft
can
does.
say it's literally just off one game, The Witcher
Oh,
3.
yeah.
And funny enough, I just started The Witcher 3 on Saturday or Sunday. I think it was it like might have been
What are you
yesterday.
playing on?
Xbox One S through Game Pass. I
Do you
just
like how you feel about the controls?
trash.
Yeah.
I feel like in
Wait,
the,
those were on
Oh,
Switch
yeah.
visuals?
no.
Like I say,
No,
you're
he's messing
playing
around.
Breath of the Wild as well, and that's where I struggled, man. It's hard work.
I mean, I feel like I'm skating on ice, and then when I turn, he like his just shoulders just turn like I mean, you got to give him credit for the story and the game, the world they've created.
We told you this.
I've
but
been
yeah.
saying
Told
this
you.
forever, man.
That is some stiff. Just
have been saying this forever.
it feels like when you're just moving like around in like in the environment or inside, outside, whatever. It reminds me of all those third person games where the camera where it makes you go in slow mo, or not slow mo, like it all you can do is move forward and kind of turn and stuff while it goes. It's like a cut scene, but you can still move. You know what?
Yeah.
Like Gears did it. Samus Other M did it.
Oh, right.
You
okay,
know when he's
okay.
like talking.
Yeah.
There's another game I'm trying to. I don't
The
know.
last one's when they go all slow and you're able to turn.
And you know when for whatever reason in those modes or those
Watch
moments in
Dogs
those
2,
games
again.
for whatever reason the movement becomes more limited, and that's how
Yeah.
Geralt controls the whole time. It's just, and then you have to like hold up to go slow on the horse. Like after Breath of the Wild, at first it was Shadow of the Colossus, but just tapping A once to just get a slow trot to move your horse, and I was like, oh, I gotta hold up. You can hold
kind of
A.
a modern third-person action game trope now, where there's a little segment where you're talking or you're listening to somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
and like specifically on like something like Watch Dogs, you have the phone to your ear, so
Yep.
you can walk and talk on the phone. But you
Batman's
can't do
the other
shit
one.
else.
Batman's the other
Batman
one.
does it. Yeah,
And that's how Geralt controls the whole time, is when you're Batman and you got your finger up to your ear and you're talking to Oracle or whatever, and he turns just really stiff shouldered and stuff. But I will say it's probably not a game I'll keep playing. I'll probably dabble in it, but I got to give it credit for just the story, the characters,
presentation is
the
top
dialogue, and like I said in the chat, like I watched 8 episodes of the show. I have no fucking clue about the world of The Witcher. And the opening 10 minutes of Witcher 3, I already had way more knowledge about the world of The Witcher. And that's, the show should have done that. Like, it should have
Yeah,
set...
you know what? Like, I think that's a valid, because having played 2 and 3, I'm coming into that show differently than somebody who hasn't touched those games at all, or somebody who's read the books. So I can see that, and looking back now, it's like, yeah, if you just came to this,
I have no idea what the factions are.
We're probably pretty lost.
Where one place is versus the other. It's like the show really missed an opportunity to do what the Lord of the Rings did in the beginning. Just do a monologue.
Yeah,
here's the world.
It probably needed that. Yeah.
Do what Game of Thrones did. Have the world map be in the titles. I mean, yeah, you'd be copying, but still, it gives you a better understanding of what's going on. But so
explain
the world, explain what Witchers are. There's nothing wrong with doing that.
Who's at war?
You always got to treat them, as separate as if people are coming into this fresh for the first time. You can't. It's always skate that line, that thin line. If you assume that your audience know, everything about it, it's because even with Lord of the Rings, I was one of those people who had not heard of Lord of the Rings until the movies. As
Really?
long as Lord of the Rings has been out, I'd never heard of it.
Huh? I'd read the books.
I'm not huge in
I read the
fantasy as
books.
well.
I watched the animated.
That's why it shocked me, because I'm such an old school fantasy person.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, what's this? When I saw the trailer in the cinema, I was like, yo, that looks incredible, man! Fucking wizards and elves and shit. Let's go.
Damn, that's crazy. How it's, I don't want to pat myself on the back again, but when people were talking about Terry Bogard, and I said, you either know something or you don't. There's no judging people. There's no, hey, how could you be a gamer and not know Terry Bogard? And I was like, you either know something or you don't. There's no debate, there's no discussion, there's no it doesn't have anything to do with your character or who you are as whatever a fan. And the fact that you didn't know the Lord of the Rings, you just, for whatever the path in life you took, that you never crossed paths with Lord of the Rings.
It's a kind of a reach there, but go ahead.
I don't think that's a reach at all.
I don't think that's a
It's
reach.
like
I think that's a reach.
my
Clark, what do you
brother's
think?
kind of like that, and it's so annoying when he talks about something, and I'm like, oh, I never heard of that. He's like, you never heard of that? You this is, and I'm like, yo, dude, come on, okay? I haven't heard of it. You can explain to me what it is, or just shut the fuck up. Like, it's not going to change it.
It's like, hey, motherfucker, when you didn't know of it, do you want me to go back in time to tell you what? You didn't hear of it either.
For me, it's like, okay, if you're 20 years old, 25, you don't know who Terry Bogard is, all right, great. But if you're somebody in our kind of gaming sphere, where we watch gaming videos, we've read magazines for decades, I think it's a little different.
Yeah, and I did kind of learn then about Lord of the Rings back in the year like 2000 or whatever. So.
Yeah, you were in your late teens at the time?
The
probably?
books are from what, the 70s,
so that's a little different. I think that's a little different.
You're a huge fantasy guys. Like, I could have thrown that you haven't heard of Lord of the Rings at you because I was reading the books in high school and my book reports. It's like
I'm a huge fantasy guy, and I've never even read one word from the Schnorrer books.
Yeah,
those are huge.
I could mention stuff like Steve Jackson and Ian Livingstone, fighting fantasy novels.
Who?
And people will go, who? And these guys are the founders of the Games Workshop.
To be fair, the Lord of the Rings is the biggest fantasy books.
Yeah, I mean that's why it's a little different.
Where that was, I was into Jason and the Argonauts. I was into Conan the Barbarian. I was into Dungeons and Dragons. I was in the field. But sometimes just those certain books, skip you. But I caught up on it early, got there, blazed it, read all the books. I'm to date, man.
Harry Potter?
Oh, that's true. That might be bigger than Lord of the Rings, to be honest.
Well, yeah, now maybe
afterwards, yeah.
Yeah, but at the time, but it's still like a.
But no, I completely understand what Juice is saying. At the same point, it's just
that'd be like me. That would be like me not knowing who fucking Samus was or something, or maybe even somebody bigger than that, like not knowing the Lord of the Rings. So anyway, T, you can.
There's a lot of hardcore gamers who don't know who Samus is.
Yeah, but Samus is like a bad example.
Is that Metroid?
It's just as obscure as fucking Terry.
They call
Why
Samus
can't Metroid crawl?
They call Samus Metroid.
Oh shit! Well played, sir. Well played.
Interesting enough, I watched it.
Was that on Miiverse first?
Yeah, that was
Miiverse.
There was a Miiverse meme.
This is why we need Miiverse.
Oh yeah, Miiverse again. It reads exactly
funny. Yeah, I still think that shit was funny.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Juice?
I'm trying to recall it. Trying to get back to what I was saying.
Yeah, this was a way
right
big
before.
deal.
Oh, I just happened to watch the Metroid Prime trilogy retrospective on. It's like an hour and 40 minutes video. Guy that all he does is retrospectives and.
Yeah.
I didn't get through the very end.
Weird that's in both of our feeds.
It popped up. Yeah, it popped up in my feed. And I wasn't even looking at anything Metroid, but I didn't get to the end. I'm wondering if he touched upon the motion controls back once you play the original first two games with motion controls, because he mentions the motion controls when he got to 3, but hadn't mentioned them even once when talking about the first two games. So he's like, I'm wondering if because to me that like almost changes the experience quite a bit. But anyway, then T, I was also going to get your take. I watched Digital Foundry's video and somebody else's video on the graphic settings in The Witcher 3, and definitely you can definitely get a sharper image. Now they added some graphic settings that was mod for hacked switches. People figured out like right away, and they just took the initiative and the develop. And I don't know who CG Projekt Red definitely okayed it, but I forget the team that Saber. Yeah, they implemented it, and it's like basically the same results minus the the improvements with overclocking. But so now as somebody who double dipped on The Witcher 3, how are you feeling about it?
I would tell you, like, that was the biggest issue with me, especially trying to play on TV. The blur. It was just too blurry. From somebody coming from, the Xbox One version of the game and knowing how much better it was as far as that. I could deal with some of the other stuff. I could deal with, the textures not being as, vibrant or whatever, crisp and whatnot. But the blur and the draw distance and the foliage was another thing that was it just bothered me playing the game. It's like, I don't know if I can really go through this game. And the minute I took off anti-aliasing and maxed out the sharp, it was like night and day. Literally a night and day experience. I was like, I can definitely play this now on my TV even and be okay with it and be fine with it. And it's way better now. Oh my God. And handheld, like it looks as good as it does on the big screen on Xbox. Like it looks that good. It looks comparable to the Xbox One version on the handheld. That's how good it looks to me now. So obviously I don't have it looks that good on that screen.
On the Switch, does it come with any setbacks? Like when you change it, for example, does it start stuttering more, or is it just you can do it and it changes nothing for the bad?
No, nothing really happens.
It's what they call post processing. So it's not changing anything, the actual game running or anything. And some of them actually, the foliage one, you can put it down to low and actually get the frame rate locked pretty solid. But it looks pretty bad on.
Yeah, you want that foliage, trust me.
But it's just a nice thing option if you don't like the sharpening, if you don't mind the blur, and then you don't have to mess with it.
You don't mind dithered edges. I don't. Like I would much rather have like sharper.
Sorry, 2 seconds. I think someone's like played a point and click game. Well, all I can hear is a clicking of a mouse. Who is it?
Yeah, all the time. It's been since the beginning.
I think it's talking.
Really? That's strange.
Yeah, it is. It's when right as you stop, then there's like a.
Oh, it must be my fan. Let me turn it off.
Oh,
yeah.
It's
like your mic's mute. It's like your mic.
Over my head. It's been going over my head. I haven't even realized.
Now that you said it, though, I can't unhear it.
I heard it, but I thought it was my mouse, so I kept like moving my mouse just to see.
Well, you know how sometimes like you get those things where it's like it's not that loud, so it just doesn't like.
Yeah. All right. Let's be quiet.
Can you still hear it?
Yeah, it's still there. It must be.
Really?
Yeah.
What is that? It's like you're like it's almost like you're going through game settings or something.
That's odd.
I think it's just as
every word you say goes
at the end. Yeah.
I'm on my iPad, so I don't know.
I wonder if it's like
fucking
mic. I wonder if it's like trying to mute.
Shit.
I wonder if it's trying to like mute the background noise or something, and when you stop talking,
it might be doing some kind of like sound.
See, it's normal there. That sounded good.
I can't hear it.
Yeah.
It happened.
But
all right, let's go. Witcher 3, looking awesome on the Switch. Go T.
Yeah, I mean it does look great. Like it looks like I said, it looks like you're playing the. Now it's in my head now. I can't even talk without thinking about it. How do I sound, boys?
If you just never stop talking, it would be fine. It's just every time
that's gonna be hard if I can't do like the YouTubers who just keep talking and talking and talking and talking.
Yeah, see that it's only when you stop, then it's like a at the end. So, all right, we'll go on to the next topic. It's let's see. Actually, let's check the questions because we had some questions.
We've done well for the first hour. Animal Crossing, Witcher 3. Let's go, man.
All right, so let's got the Discord up. All right, so Miguel Rose, what indie characters would you like to see get DLC Mii Fighter costumes in Smash, similar to Cuphead and Sans, and what music tracks would you want? So that's a good one because I don't think any character will ever get as a fighter. So
man, I still
should I steal Terrell's answer or?
Yeah, go ahead.
Shantae.
Yeah.
Well,
Anybody else got any?
I'll just say I still remember when I was driving home and there was the Indie Direct, and I genuinely thought
Whoa!
Oh my god!
Well, he just got in a car crash.
Oh my god!
My bad.
What the heck?
My fucking headphones fell off.
Assuming control.
Oh shit! Vap! Oh shit! It's fucking. It's a disaster! Oh god, help us!
You think the movie guy, the production guy would have the best quality stuff?
Yeah. The problem is I don't live by myself, and everybody in the house, literally everyone in the house right now is on the internet.
Yeah,
So I'm sure that has something to do with it as well.
probably.
Oh, but what I was saying was I still remember the Indie Direct. I was driving home and I remember it said, I think it was like Terrell's right or Shantae's in Smash, and I was like, what the fuck?
I
I'm
think
like,
I
holy
teased it. I
shit.
think I joked it.
Yeah, and I was like, oh fuck, and then I'm like, fuck, I was so pissed I didn't record a reaction. Like, god damn it, I'm like, god, that would have been awesome. Like, what are the fucking odds at the one time? and but it was actually
My
just a
ears.
joke.
Oh.
You have to like kind of think about the question though. Shantae is technically kind of a bad answer because it's specifically asking for me costumes.
Yeah.
And I think even if you make Shantae kind of look like her, you still have to like even with the
got the weird
Cuphead and the
fucking
songs,
face.
you have to respect the proportions for them to fit on the me characters.
Oh.
And on
That'd be-
top of that, adapt
I
the
respect the
moveset.
shit out of the proportions.
You could
What
make
do
your
mean?
me to match the Shantae outfit if you really. Otherwise, somebody could make a really funny one.
Yeah, but I would want Shantae as a character, man. You know, whip
Yeah.
I mean, I do too, but at this point, I'm
elephants to stomp on you, you know, for like a down smash or something.
The Shovel
yeah.
Knight.
Shantae has too diverse of a moveset. That's the problem.
Does Shovel Knight have a me fighter costume?
No, it's just a
'Cause
trophy.
That'd be
He's a
another one.
trophy.
Well, no, but he's already an assist trophy.
Yeah, he's a
but
trophy.
You can't.
Yeah,
If anything, you would have to also you have to find a me that actually fits with either gunner,
Yeah, that's what I
brawler.
said.
I
Yeah.
love Commander Video, man. Yeah.
No, that's fair.
That
But does he
or
have
Random
attacks?
video. That's random as hell.
what?
Guacamelee could be
Big
a
trip?
brawler.
I mean, come on. I mean, that's pretty big for a Nintendo.
Actually, Guacamelee would work for a brawler. Yeah.
Axiom Verge guy could be the whatever shooter
Axiom
one.
Verge guy.
I don't remember his name. It's pretty generic.
What would you do for his move?
Same
What
thing.
about,
Whatever the Mies can do.
Yeah,
No, I was
that's.
talking about Commander Video.
Oh, but I also saw.
Yeah, because Commander Video, I don't think attacked.
I also yeah. I mean, but like every time you are run, I mean, it's Sakurai. You can make moves that for.
You
know,
can make it
make
work.
moves
Pretty
that
much,
video,
what you're saying
yeah.
is you can't come up with nothing. So Sakurai, he can
Yeah,
do it.
somebody else
Oh,
answer
yeah,
since.
that's kind of the
Well,
whole point of being a gamer, not a game
He
designer.
gets paid millions of dollars to do that shit.
Anybody got an answer or
What?
to the question?
Yeah.
Robert's struggling to answer the question.
Well, not for me. Oh fuck, I forgot. It's me costumes. I don't want any of it. I just forgot. I'm thinking talking about characters.
It's like it's almost like Robert literally got into the moment like, oh wait, I don't give a shit.
Because in all
That's
reality,
literally what happened.
I just realized that. Yeah, no, I don't want no
I don't-
me costumes.
I don't
Is
partake.
there ones for like any Wind Waker characters, like Tingle or anything like that?
I was just thinking of like a
don't
Deku
think
scrub,
so.
like Deku from Majora's Mask, you know, and then the gun thing is just like a snout, you know.
Okay,
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I'll never buy a me fighter costume. I still think
Cuphead is the only one I cared about, and I bought it, and I'm happy.
ever since Smash 4, I mean, I never really liked that idea, especially for the ones that had amiibos. And it's
Yeah,
like,
that
oh, you
was
want
my
me to
biggest
buy?
problem.
You want me to buy a fucking? I don't even remember some of them, like a Sonic or Samus me
Oh no,
costume.
Sonic's. I don't think there was a Sonic.
they wanted
costume.
you
There
to
were
buy,
Tails
like,
and Knuckles.
Me costumes for
Yeah,
characters
they've
that
added
were.
some good stuff. I wanted I wanted Goman as a character, and they put him as a me costume.
It's
I'd
one
still
thing,
love
yeah,
him
if it's
as a character, but
But they did
Yeah.
it for one characters that there was amiibos for and
Yeah.
were in the game already. And you're like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I remember
Mega Man
complaining
was
about
like
that back I remember complaining about that back then. Yeah,
Yeah,
Mega Man was
bullshit.
certainly one of them.
Yeah, it's
Mega
like,
Man, because they used the normal version, then they did the X.
how about use the
version.
amiibo for something legit, like genuine that actually adds something to the game, than other than training an AI? It's like that was the dumbest implementation, and it's
I
still
was gonna say the exact same thing.
it's still the
Like,
main.
how many people actually did that shit?
I did it a few times. Like this
I
is
was like, I
stupid.
think mostly everybody.
No, I mean
tried
consistently. I mean, yeah, everybody tried it. We all
Yeah.
tried it, but how many people stuck
Like
with it?
I bought like on the
Oh,
Wii
Johnny
U because I
Arts.
wanted the game complete, so I bought like all the Mii outfits and shit. In this game, I'm not doing that shit. I want all the playable characters, but I do buy the Mii costumes in this one. I bought 2 because they came and with music, and they literally transformed the character that it just looked like the Cuphead.
Yeah, I think people-
What are you talking about,
that's not even
Sans
like
and
a Mii
Cuphead?
costume
Yeah,
anymore.
but
That's just like
I
the
think
Cuphead
if they
game.
changed the model, it'd be more interesting. Also, Donnie mentioned Klonoa, which is a good
Gino?
choice.
Nah, but that's not. Klonoa is not an indie game though. Oh, I guess we're not talking about
Oh,
indie
no,
games.
but I'm
he
just
did
like-
say
made,
indie.
they
Yeah,
made,
you're right.
they made
Yeah, at this
Gino
point,
a
it kinda
costume.
is.
He's
We're not
already a
doing-
Mii costume.
Yeah, he
Okay.
is a Mii costume
All
already.
right, let's get to the
Klonoa-
let's get to the
Is
next
that
question.
Konami?
Woo, what, Klonoa?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
yeah.
Ah,
Konami.
damn. Well, that's
Klonoa's
dead.
pretty. I would want Klonoa.
They got that remake on the Wii, and we never saw it again.
Yep. And you won't
Yeah.
see it again.
Oh.
Being
You
Konami.
had the remake. You had the remake on the Wii, didn't you? Of the original
Yeah.
Klonoa.
Yeah, that was it. I think that's the
Great.
last Klonoa game.
R.I.P. Oh, it says developers Namco.
That's what I thought.
Oh,
I didn't think it
It's
was.
Namco. Okay.
That made
Oh,
no sense.
what am I? What did I see? Konami, yeah?
No, Konami is not Namco.
Oh God, I forgot it's fucking Namco.
It's the
Yeah.
Nami's, the Konami, Nami, all that Nami stuff.
You know what? Waka Waka.
Phenomena.
It makes me up.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought it was weird. We were fucking saying Konami. It's like, I don't
Yeah,
think
sorry, ignore me being stupid.
it's all right.
All right, so
Well,
Dave
again,
97.
Everyone's gonna know. Klonoa's that company. I mean, it's not really memorable.
I mean,
Okay,
I think
company.
people would know who Namco is. Though, but
They already corrected us in the chat. So.
Yeah, there's no way I would have been able to answer that. All right,
Stupid moment.
So Dave 97 has it's an interesting question. So he find it odd that people criticize Nintendo's lackluster support of the Game Boy Advance after the DS released, but also criticize Nintendo for supporting the 3DS too much after the Switch released. It seems Nintendo is damned if they do, damned if they don't. How long should they support the Switch after its successor? So that's interesting because that was a legit thing people were saying. Why is Samus Returns on the 3DS?
Dude, I said.
to be
that-
fair, I think that was the issue with the 3DS in general. Like,
But-
realistically, one of the biggest complaints the 3DS got, and it wasn't even the 3DS's fault. Why are the better games on 3DS and not on Wii U? Because realistically, almost every IP had better games, except
Yeah.
for there were exceptions, mind you.
Well,
But a
and
lot
Nintendo
of them
told
had
you.
better games on the 3DS.
Nintendo told you they didn't know how to make HD games. That's why they put all that shit on 3DS.
And they still don't know how to.
Oh,
Apparently.
well, I mean, for me, I mean, I
Way
don't really.
easier.
I wasn't around for the.
Does
GBA
anybody
like
remember
that.
the game? I don't remember the people complaining about the Game Boy
You wanna know why? Because
Advance.
the Game Boy Advance went through that stupid thing where at the beginning of its life cycle were a bunch of ports.
No, can I just say because I was there with the Game Boy Advance, I bought it day one and stuff, and I was also working in retail shops with it. People were as pumped to have SNES games portable,
Yeah.
right, on the Game
That
Boy
is true.
Advance as people are pumped to have portable games on the Switch now.
Yeah, they were
Having
pumped until
Having
that's all
Super
we
Mario
got.
World and Link to the Past, right? SNES quality graphics on a handheld from the original Game Boy to the Game Boy Advance.
Exactly.
But
It's
that
fucking-
that started
And
to fade.
in hindsight, you can say, well, they had a lot of ports, blah blah blah. But at the time, that was not done. That was amazing to
Yeah.
see.
I
So-
can tell you honestly, by the third or second, I think it was the third new Mario Game Advance, whatever they called them.
Oh yeah, the Advance series is
And I'm
really
like,
wore me out.
Where's the fucking 2D Mario game? I bought the first one and I was like, fuck, I'm done
Yeah.
with this shit. Like,
That's probably one of the few games it was missing. Like an original 2D Mario game.
Yeah,
and
because
stuff.
it never got it.
Like, bitch, I already have Super Mario. What is it called? What was it called?
It
on
was-
Super Nintendo.
it was
Trilogy?
Super Mario
What was it
World. It
called?
was Super Mario Brothers.
All Stars, you mean?
All Stars, right? I
Yeah,
already had All
All-Stars.
Stars, and I was still playing my Super Nintendo at the time. So, like, I don't need this shit. What is this shit? I need new Mario for my new handheld.
Yeah.
And then I got Super Mario like Advance 2, Super Mario Advance 4, then Mario 3,
Yeah,
and the
well,
second
Advance.
generation. Like, fuck off, come on.
It was Mario
Ain't no
Brothers
damn
3.
Advance.
The ones I didn't buy was when they released the NES games, and they released
Yeah.
those at like
Oh,
£29.99 or some
man.
shit.
Yeah,
And
that's
they-
Well, didn't
bull-
they,
that was some bullshit.
Yeah.
I know it had didn't have original F-Zero, or was it just a port?
Oh no, it
Yeah,
had,
F-Zero
it had two
velocity,
F-Zeros. It had two F-Zeros.
maximum velocity, and
Because I fucking love maximum velocity.
yeah, maximum velocity was great.
And
Were they both brand new, or was
GP Legends?
GP Legend, that's it. Yeah.
okay? I thought one of them was a port of the Super.
No,
Nope, they were both
brand new
original.
games. Brand new
Okay.
games.
Either way, so what do you guys
fuck
think?
F-Zero.
I think that the 3DS came out in 2011, so in 2017 when they're putting like a new 2D Metroid game, I feel like that was a legit criticism. You're 6 years into the system. The Switch just came out, and you're putting the game people have been wanting is a new 2D Metroid game forever, and you put it on the 3DS, and I get it. The 3DS had a nice install base, but look, the sales didn't. It was just too late in the console's life for that.
That was the main reason. 3DS
But the
had
argument,
a nice
wait,
install
I guess,
base. Switch didn't have one yet, and we know Metroid isn't a huge seller, so they were taking the gamble, if you will, on the 3DS, and it didn't pay off because they didn't realize how popular the Switch was going to be right out of the gate.
That's true.
So.
But it was a good game. You know, it wasn't great, but it was a good game. I have a lot of respect for Mercury Steam. I think they're a great fucking developer. I really do, and I feel Nintendo need to work even harder with them because I really enjoyed the Lord of Shadows.
I was gonna say I love Lord of Shadows. They did Batman as well, didn't they? And I love that game.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, and they done.
I love that game.
Castlevania on the 3DS, which is really fucking good as well.
Yeah.
That was a really good game. But Mercury Steam, they got almost like that retro studios type of. You can see it there in the background a bit. That type of technical talent for Nintendo hardware to produce some good stuff. So
what Switch game have they made yet?
Oh, we haven't made anything yet.
Oh, wait, Mercury.
Anything announced even?
No, I don't.
I'm sure they're working on something,
but then they haven't done anything since Samus Returns.
They're working on porting the Batman trilogy.
But you know, they could be working on something. You know, another HD game. Which is
maybe you're porting Donkey Kong Country Returns.
I would trust Mercury Steam. I'm not lying. I would trust them with a Donkey Kong game. I'd like to see what they would push out. I'd like to see.
I feel like they were hamstrung by the structure of Metroid 2, which I was not familiar with because I never had a Game Boy and never played it. But that repeating the same bosses and running to the other room bullshit.
You say that, but they did so much to differentiate.
I know, but the whole structure of just fighting the same enemy types
but then
over and
they
over.
weren't hamstringed by what they done with Castlevania, and they had some great ideas and some great.
I'd like to see
what they done in Castlevania on the 3DS.
Actually, Mercury Steam hasn't done anything since 2017, like at all.
Yeah.
That's we don't want to get into that discussion, but
they got really
they're not really a Nintendo developer. That's what I'm saying.
No, they got really burned by Lord of Shadows 2, which got ripped in loads of reviews. But it was a good game. I didn't complete it, but it was a good game. It didn't deserve the abuse that it got. Nowhere near.
People piled on that damn game for sure.
Yeah.
So, Mercury Steam hasn't done anything in like 2 years. They still have 4 years before they can catch up to retro.
Jesus Christ.
So I think we can. The second part of his question is, or basically the main part, is how long should they support the Switch after its successor?
Really, I thought it was more of the double standard that people.
That there's two questions there. So
I didn't see the other.
How long should they support the Switch after its successor releases? And that's an interesting question. That
is interesting.
Leads into. I wasn't going to go into it all the way. The only part I want to talk about the Phil Spencer stuff today. He released a bunch of stuff about the Xbox Series X. Was that every Xbox game? Well, not everyone. I mean, there's some obscure ones on the original Xbox that don't have the backwards compatibility. But you put your disc in Xbox 360, Xbox One into the Series X, and it's just going to play, and it's going to play at higher resolutions, and have benefits there. But before that,
is it going to download?
I'm sure it probably. I don't know how that's going to work, but
I was watching. I did watch a bit of Digital Foundry's video on it, just skipping through it. I did catch the bit where they said they noticed that by the looks of it, they're still using 50 gigabyte discs, which is
they later on kind of figured out how they could get around that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that looks like the physical format because what they're saying is if you can push in your Xbox One disc or something like this, the way it's going to work, whatever, then this might be the case. But I think we need to wait on that to see.
Yeah, but
what
basically before Microsoft doing this, basically Sony was really the only one who supported their system after the new system came out. Nintendo was notorious for just cutting the cord like
peace out
immediately. Like, and I never actually minded that because it's like Perfect Dark should not have come out on the N64. I'm sorry. Like that was just it was like a year before the GameCube or not even
2 years.
2 years was it?
No, it was two. Was it 99 or? Was
I want to say it was 2000 something.
It was 2000. Late. You're right.
So it's just like
you talk about games that have its swan songs now. Being pushed to the max.
It's a tough decision.
Yeah.
So, but it's like, hey, I buy this new system. Quit putting games out on the old system. That's how I've always thought about it. But Microsoft's kind of doing something.
I'm kind of in two minds about it. I don't mind it. If a system is supported a year or maybe even 2 years after. I mean, we kind of had it with the 3DS, and we got remakes and stuff like that, and we had like some last original games, like Samus Returns and
yeah, the remake stuff. I guess is fine. That's why you put out the Wii U ports.
I think that's fine. I mean, we were also in different territory with the 3DS and the Switch. I feel like there's such different systems. It was okay to support those two platforms. Don't get me wrong. It got to the point with the 3DS when we're like, okay, we can clearly see that this console is really slowed down now, and no amount of ports or anything is really pushing this console on anymore. So we'd like to see the focus now on your main platform. So
right. And
I think we all felt that.
The thing for me is a bit different. Usually, I'm the guy who says, okay, you're releasing a new system. You don't need to make for the old one. And okay, you have a new system. Give me games on that. So, but if you release one on the old one, like if I'm interested, I'd buy it. But now the Switch, I feel, is a very rare case where it's gonna depend on what the successor would be. Let's say if Nintendo now would make a home console after this, 100% not portable. They don't do any of that shit, fuck the marketing, whatever. It's 100% powerhouse home console that you have on your TV. And let's say then they release, let's say Animal Crossing wasn't coming out, and they release Animal Crossing on that. Most people would think, in that case, well, why don't you release it on the Switch so I can take it with me, So it's going to depend what the next Switch is going to be, really.
Yeah, and I think times are changing too, because last gen, at the beginning, people were defending PS4 not having backwards compatibility with PS3 games, and just because Sony fans, you want to defend your company. But now I see people saying, like, if backwards compatibility is the rule, not the exception, and moving forward, now that it's, and I kind of think if Nintendo puts out another hybrid, you better be able to put your fucking Switch games in there and play them. So if a Breath of the Wild 2, let's say, gets pushed and it comes out let's say in 2021, and then the Switch 2 comes out in 2022, I want to just, it shouldn't be a separate, like, I can't play it on the new system thing. I would hope they'd get back to the backwards compatibility, which they've done with the handhelds every time. At least one generation previous was playable on the first version of the
I was gonna bring up the handheld one too. Like even the normal DS, you could fucking jam in like giant Game Boy cards.
Yeah,
shit.
But the revisions
Game Boy stuff.
Yeah, the SP Game Boy Advance didn't have that. Just like the 3DS, DS Lite didn't have.
No, the SP I did. The SP could play original Game Boy and Game Boy.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah.
One of them. Oh, which one was it then? The DSi couldn't play.
There was one where DSi lost GBA.
They took the backwards compatibility out.
Yeah, they took it out.
Yeah,
later on.
But that was the very end of the DS era.
Okay, so I don't know, man. I think people's mindsets are changing. If this question would have been asked, like, I don't even a few months ago, I might have just said, yeah, just forget the Switch, move to the next thing. But now I'm just like, there shouldn't. It's almost,
which is insane to me because I remember when you had the Wii U first came out and the PS4 and the Xbox One, no one gave Nintendo any level of props to the fact that they were the only console that had like true backwards compatibility with the Wii. And then like by the time we hit the end of the Wii U, like towards the middle of the Xbox One era, and they introduced their backwards compatibility. Now all of a sudden it's a big deal. I'm like, well, what the fuck is the difference? Why? What was the change?
Well, I mean,
I think now it's go on, Rob. Go on.
oh, shit. I'm gonna be honest. I got stuck with you. So you can try. Go ahead. I'll
To what Terrell said, the general rule in the gaming industry is it's not cool if Nintendo does it,
That's true.
and that's it.
That was literally what I was thinking too.
Yeah, and like you said, you know, people, you know, your consumers are so they just go with the trends, man. They're so finicky, and it's like it's like
people,
you know.
This is why I always thought it was stupid when people got mad about, well, why doesn't Nintendo do what they want? Like the argument that you don't know what you want is not it doesn't sound like it's logical, but it makes a lot of fucking sense because that is true.
So in this case, it's like you can see Microsoft now, one of their biggest pillars now are just saying, yeah, you can backwards compatibility is going to be one of our biggest strengths. You know, this is what we'll push it for next gen. This is one of our biggest trump cards, you know, so all those people are jumping on that now, like, you know, saying, yeah, you know, we fucking want this. But you know, to be fair with Microsoft, they have put in the extra effort. You put in these older games, and you know, for those people who love it and crave it, it improves. You know, they're classic games.
I mean, you're somebody that goes. What you just had your 360 on, didn't you?
Yeah. I showed you my red ring, didn't I? At one point, I was like, motherfucker.
Yeah. So I mean, to me, it's not that big a deal as far as, but the main reason I don't turn on my original Xbox is because I gotta hook it up with component video, and I don't even know if my new TV has component inputs. Honestly, it probably does, but I don't know if it does or not for sure, because they're kind of getting away. HDMI is just so dominant right now. It's like, man, I don't even know. And then every time you boot up that Xbox, you got to set the date and time and all that. Like, it's a bit of a process. So
which one? The original Xbox?
The original Xbox.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
But I have some games. I mean, I probably wouldn't play through them or nothing, but for somebody that does, like, I think just have one box hooked up that plays all your Xbox games. That I mean, it's a cool idea for sure.
Anyone's just chewing out the fact that they've managed to. I mean, I think the way people look at the consoles, you know, now, at least from, you know, Sony or Microsoft, they want the PlayStation and they want the Xbox brands as a whole to be this platform. And, you know, Microsoft have now pushed that to the next level. It's not like we haven't had backwards compatibility before. We've had it loads of times, and we've had it taken away from us. People seem to forget about it and not care.
Well, Nintendo's only done it twice because, well, they did it with the handhelds, but as far as home consoles, they never did it before until the Wii played GameCube.
I guess you couldn't really.
They still offered you know, ways to do it, even though it wasn't, you know, built into the console itself, because of technology, because of cartridges and all this stuff. They still offered ways to do it. I think the only console that they didn't allow it to do it with was the N64. You know, but everything else, they seem to find a way. You could play Game Boy Advance games on your GameCube. You could play.
Yeah, but you couldn't play NES games on your Super NES. You couldn't play Super NES on N64. That's as far as home consoles. They never really did it.
Yeah, those are good points. But I mean, we'll look at the technology again. You know, at a very early age. You know, so when we're starting to reach the point, you know, of backwards compatibility when it was becoming trends, and that started with the GameCube, the Game Boy Advance, the PlayStation 2, and that those eras of consoles. And Nintendo have in many ways a little bit before and then continuing done that until we reached the Nintendo Switch, which is and absolutely nothing.
Nintendo's you know, because they couldn't just make a system that played GameCube, Wii, and Wii U games, because then they got to accommodate for a sensor bar, for motion, you know, the motion control. So
the fact that Nintendo had unique systems ended up
makes it a lot harder for sure.
Yeah, in that situation, it made it hard.
I don't see it. I mean, you could look at this in two ways, couldn't you? As a negative, that you couldn't play the entirety of your Nintendo catalog, or you could look at it in a positive way in terms of what the unique hardware brought in terms of game design and innovation and all that stuff.
I would say though,
I say that's a much bigger positive than playing your older games.
Yeah, but if they had, let's say the Switch was disc-based, you know, this is complete hypothetical, but if they announced the next system, said you put in your GameCube disc, put in your Wii discs, put in your Wii U discs, it's covered, it's going to play. I think there'd be a good amount of people excited at least about the Game Boy or the GameCube discs.
Yeah, that'd be great. Like I said, no one's
Yeah,
gonna,
it's not-
no
yeah,
one would
it's
be
not
mad,
hard.
but it
no
ain't.
one's going to look at this and go, if they done it, no one's gonna go boo. What are
Yeah.
they doing that for? Everyone's gonna be like, oh yeah, this is fucking great. I can't believe they managed to do it. That's
No one's
that's
gonna
why
blame them
that's
for-
why everyone's cheering about the Xbox X and the Xbox Series X being able to have the entirety of. I mean, that's Microsoft. They essentially set this up from the start. They were very forward thinking in that matter.
Once they
And,
started at doing the
I,
backwards.
I salute them for that. They managed to achieve it, which is great.
And
Well, I know. For instance, for me with the whole backwards compatibility, that I do like that they're doing that, But for now, I mean, the Xbox One S. I mean, a lot of the games I have for the original Xbox and the 360 also work with it. So I mean,
Mhm.
I don't
yeah,
think
I mean, S
still-
has
it's just I guess the extra thing for if you are going to buy the Xbox, One Series. Shit, dude. Well, that's such a weird name. Xbox Series X, not Xbox One Series
I
X.
hate that fucking name.
And then and also I mean, it's super helpful because I mean, especially nowadays, I've been trying to play a
with
bunch
your
of older games.
backlog and for
Yeah,
streaming and for recording, just one device.
And it stream. Yeah, instead of having, I mean, the less consoles, the better for me. I don't want to.
Mhm.
I would like to own them, but I don't want to also have to set up a one from 1980.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's definitely a cool thing. Hopefully they got some new games though that'll be
Mhm.
enticing too on top of that. But
Yeah, for sure.
and the thing is that they do something like this and it does put pressure on, it definitely puts pressure on Sony. How are they going to handle it? And I'll be disappointed if Nintendo doesn't do backwards compatibility if they
I'd
do
be shocked
if they do another hybrid style system after the Switch, because I think I think the only reason they didn't obviously is because they got away from discs. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I really feel like Wii U, there would have been, if it was a disc-based system, I think they would have did it. But
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
but
And also, I mean, I really hope Sony does this stuff. I really do. That would be huge because the only way to play PS2 for me is to actually plug in the PS2, and then for PS3, at least I could play the PS1 on there. But like, if I could have a PS5 and just have all 5, whew, that'd be nice.
And the other big thing about Microsoft is they said, what did they call it? Smart, like they're like we've predicted, and like I predicted, I think T backed me up. You're just gonna go to the store and buy Halo Infinite. There's not gonna be Xbox One Halo Infinite and Series X Infinite. There's just one package, one disc. It's gonna have, no matter what system you have, it's just gonna play. So a lot of people are speculating that The Last of Us 2 will get a PS5, remaster, and I'm hoping, because of what Microsoft's doing, that if you bought The Last of Us Part 2, then you get a PS5 later on. It's just going to be like the PS5 version based off the PS4 disc.
I also got to say, I mean, I know this is just more the traditional thing, but why do we have to learn about this through tweets, man? Why can't they make it? Why don't they have like some kind of,
Yeah, I mean, this wasn't a tweet. It was like a official like blog post or something by Phil Spencer. Like it was like fully detailed.
Exactly,
but yeah,
a blog post that they tweeted out though. That's why I was like,
I think-
Is that what you mean?
I
It doesn't really create hype.
Yeah,
I'd say because of the type of information it is. I mean, some of this would have been good, like on stage hearing someone say it, but I think the rest of
I was
it's
about to say that.
better. I think seeing the games and the operating system and stuff, definitely got to see.
man,
But
I mean,
some
when
of
are
this
they
info,
doing this shit? Like, I guess for E3, I guess I don't know.
Well, yeah, Microsoft is maybe not fucking
Sony,
I
who
don't know
knows?
what
They
they're
might
waiting
even,
for.
Sony. It's like, what are you doing?
they might not even put out the PS5. So let's answer this question: what games do you think will launch with the PS5? And that's such an
Next
unknown.
3.
The Last of Us 2.
I mean, every PS4 game will launch with it, but
Final Fantasy VII remake is going to be remade.
no, I think they can't do that stuff. I think because what Microsoft doing, I don't think anyway Sony can re-release games, the PS5 remastered version.
I wonder, do you think they were planning it, and then because of this, they might be like, fuck, they might like retract.
Can I just confirm something as well? Because you're saying Microsoft are doing this, but if you buy Halo Infinite on the Xbox One X, Are you telling me that you get the Xbox Series X version for free?
You do.
Yeah, it's just
because
one disc.
It's just one thing, yeah.
There's
Did
no.
Microsoft confirm that, did they?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
they
what he
did.
said. It's right in his post. It's called smart purchase.
Yeah, smart something.
So you don't have to worry about if this version's this. You just buy the box and the disc works, and you get the Series X version or the Xbox One S version or the Xbox One X.
All its upgrades for Xbox.
It's all
Series
just done.
X.
That's incredible. It's amazing.
Same with because Cyberpunk was announced.
Yeah,
also
Cyberpunk's
that
developer,
they
CD
said
Projekt
the
Red,
same
I
thing.
think.
They said gamers shouldn't have to buy the same game
Yeah,
twice.
I know they.
Well,
they
they're big
announced it. I
PC.
didn't realize Microsoft did.
Yeah, so if Microsoft does that and Sony thinks they're gonna sell you The Last of Us Part 2 remastered, I think. I mean, Sony fans they're not gonna care. They're gonna probably eat it up, but I think that's gonna be a bad look. And they've already said, like, Ubisoft said that with Watch Dogs Legion's already building in, the next gen game versions, and like I really don't think we're gonna have remastered games next
That'd be
gen.
nice.
I really don't think
that'd
we
be
will.
awesome.
I don't think there's gonna be Red Dead 2 remastered because the Xbox One X, they already have those support, for 4K. That's
Damn, though, imagine you got to think though, like imagine if this was like 360 to PS4 and it was the same thing. How many sales would have been cut off in half for GTA 5, something like that? You know what I mean? How many people rebought those games? I'm sure Rockstar doesn't love that idea.
No,
that's
true. But you can still, like, someone buys a PS5, didn't have a PS4, and then they go out and buy Red Dead. But Lightning or the Nomad asking, does it come with 2 discs? No, you got to stop thinking of, like, Microsoft's trying to change the game completely. You got to stop thinking of it as it's this. I mean, the 2 consoles are the same architecture. x86. It's like a PC. It's like you had one, like Terrell has a 2060 RTX 2060, and I have an old AMD card, but you buy the same game and it plays, like.
Right.
If you want to put it in layman's terms, it's the same as docking and undocking the Switch. It's the same fucking game.
Yeah, it's just one disc. It just
a PC. You install the game, you buy a new graphics card, it makes it look better.
Yeah, that if you get the Series X, like I'm gonna be playing Ori, and then if I get the Series X, I'm not gonna have to buy the Series X version of Ori. It's just gonna play whatever enhancements they choose to put on there, which I think are going to be pretty awesome. I think that art style is going to look pretty awesome with the Series X upgrades. But that's just a brand new thing that it's hard for people to wrap their mind around it. I think obviously I'm not. It's just so new.
We spoke about it earlier, didn't we? How now these consoles are really PCs now. It's gone to that point now. Whether it's
So yeah, fuck, man, we're already hour and a half in. I want to answer. I'm torn if we should just go through these questions and wrap it up, or try to talk about the Switches. I mean, we're already talking about consoles, so I guess we could talk about if Nintendo can keep the Switch going for as long.
Well, we talked about it a little bit with the 3DS, so we were kind of on the subject.
Yeah. So yeah.
Might as well continue.
What sparked it was I was listening to an old podcast. I think it was the one before the Game of the Decade podcast, and Terrell was just really, like, you were pretty adamant about the Switch has got 5 to 7 more years, and I'm thinking there's no freaking way it's gonna have an 8 to 10 year life cycle. I just don't see it unless the reason it keeps going is that they make it the handheld and they come out with something different.
Why don't you see it? Is this more to do with third parties producing content? Or?
That, and just like I said to you guys, how many? So what? We get 3 3D Mario games on the Switch. You get 3 Zelda Breath of the Wild type games. I mean, at some point, it's just.
I mean, they're obviously taking more of a handheld.
It gets a little bit, the library. I mean, yeah, it gets bigger and you get more great games, but at some point it becomes redundant. That
you see it like that though, but I see it like we haven't actually gotten a Zelda on the Switch yet. Like a Breath of the Wild is a Wii U game. Link's Awakening is a remake. So I always thought the same as Terrell. I think the Switch could go like at least for another 5 years, because most people say like, oh, but every console has 5 years. But there is no logic. There is no law that
we're also in the most
we're
probably in one of the more experimental generations anyway, with Xbox going the route it's going and Nintendo going into this hybrid route. Like, I don't feel like the same rules apply. Also, Nintendo, to me, I always thought that it would last that long, but it heavily depended on what Nintendo was going to release. They can't do what they fucking did. To me, fair, I think they did with the 3DS too, where they're really good for like the first 5 or 4 years, and then like the latter end, they either completely drop off a cliff or it's like bare bones and shit.
But like it's what I said last time. Nintendo came off the Wii U, which we all love, but it bombed hard. Now you have the Switch, which is going absolutely bonkers, going insane, catching up, because it's news every time. Oh, it caught up to the Super Nintendo, it caught up to the GameCube, it caught up to the Xbox, but it's still going. So I don't see a reason to just stop this off. There's so many games in development still. The Switch is selling, it's still working. Like the way it's going, I just don't see them all of a sudden go. But maybe they do what we talked about before. You have the Switch Lite. Maybe they have like what I call my version of the Switch Pro, which is
they're going to do another iteration. Because there's no doubt in my mind there won't be another iteration. I'm just saying.
Yeah, exactly. But they're not just going to go like, oh, now we're going to make the Nintendo chimney, whatever the fuck. I was trying to look at something. I don't know. It's just not just going to ditch something that is going so strong still after 3 years. Like the game output or not, it has an incredible game output, and they haven't let go yet.
This is what I talked about in my video in terms of why do you get bored of consoles, and I was saying it's the games, So a console is as good as its games library. If you keep getting great games, you're not going to get bored with your console. Now we are still very, very, very early in the Switch's life. It's 3 years. It's nothing, and you think about just some of the original software that we have. Where are we going to go next now in the next 3 years with some of the games that we already know are in development and coming? And we get to the point with consoles where like with the PlayStation 3, if you ask someone what's the best game on the PlayStation 3, a ton of people will go to The Last of Us. That was like one of the last games to come on our console.
I think it literally was like the last.
And then Sony
it was the last Sony game anyway.
Yeah, and then and then Sony went, fuck it, let's go to a new console now. But you just gave us your best fucking game. Can we have more of your best games, please? I'll stick with my PlayStation 3, for a bit longer. Then it's just you give us the games, and we'll enjoy the console. And I kind of think where it's too early to write off the Switch yet in terms of its longevity, because it'd be like us acting as if we're already getting bored with it.
Yeah,
and I'm not in that zone nowhere.
My question is, do you
know how?
Especially T, I'm going to ask you this: do you think your day one Switch will still be working 7-8 years after it launched, after you got it? I don't know if T's still here. I don't.
T's Apple.
Because just the nature of docking it and sliding Joy-Cons on and off.
I could say the same thing about my Xbox 360, which died in its first year. My PlayStation 3 had died. I had that. I didn't even get that day one. I got it about 2 years after. My PS3 has died. If I wanted, I'd buy another console.
That's
what I'm saying, though. This is a new
about technology like that today. You can say the same thing about the Xbox Series X that's coming out. I mean, technology-wise, what's that pushing is some serious shit.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the actual mechanism of sliding on and off Joy-Cons and sliding the in and out of the dock. But that's just going to wear more than a console that's just sitting there.
But I feel like the 360 is the perfect counter to that, because the 360, for all intents and purposes, not only had the issue of dying, but it also had the issue of scratching discs.
And it's like how many times did you open and close your Nintendo DS and stuff like that?
The hinges.
They put out a completely. They had to do a major revision to the 360 to keep it going. Because
that's where we are.
Yeah, but they didn't put out the revision until like 2010.
We're not in the N64 days anymore. And
the Elite and Slim came out like within 2 to 3 years.
Wait.
Elite was out like 2 years later. But anyway, that's
for example, like your Wii U.
Yeah, but I'm talking about, because of the nature of the Switch. We've never had a system where it had things you slide on and off constantly.
Well, but for example, Terrell just brought up the DS. Because I still play my 3DS, and still now, because I have like the 3DS XL and shit, I still like die inside every time I open that, because the weird fucking sound it makes. But like, it's a part of it. I don't think they're gonna stop using it. Because Nintendo's like, okay, we built this Switch, plus 6 years because then like the enter mechanics will die out and shit. Like no.
Yeah, it's an expiration date.
Plus, like
Yeah,
one of
it's,
my things, like I said, I believe not only will we're gonna get Breath of the Wild 2. I believe we're gonna get America 9, but they literally just now are launching Animal Crossing, and that's a game that lasts a few years considering like
Yeah,
what it is.
But at the same time, you got we're at year 3. They already had most of their major franchises, so by year
why
5,
can't-
if they have all their major franchises, and we know
I know, but it's
a lot
like,
of
why
these
can't we-
games are once in a generation games. You don't need another Smash. Most people aren't going to need another Mario Kart. Most people don't. You're never going to need
Well, that's
another
why-
Animal
that's-
Crossing on the Switch. I know
Well,
that those.
That's the reason why I made the argument that like it's going to heavily depend on what Nintendo
So
puts
then they're
out.
just going to run out of. They're going to run out of their big
Well,
titles. I mean, they'd have
but
to
this
rely
is-
on
this
new
is-
IPs and
No,
stuff.
I wouldn't
to
say
counter
that.
that point, this is what I just said, and just like the 5-year life cycle, I do not think Nintendo or any console is bound by any law because people see like a rhythm or a system in something. Who says they can't release 2 or 3 Mario Karts on the Switch? Who says
no.
they can't release
Yeah, they can try.
5
when,
Marios?
when, did, when did Skyward Sword come out on the Wii? When did Xenoblade and the Last Story come out
Yeah,
on
Yeah,
the
both
Wii?
of
You know,
those
what
were
happened to those
2010
games?
it's not so much what happened to those games. Those games were there for people who wanted to buy them. I had my Wii. I bought those games. I
because
said,
people
"Thank
still
you,
bought and
Nintendo.
played those games.
Thank you, on this soft.
The
Thank
lowest
you,
selling 3D Zelda game, Xenoblade. Like I didn't even know Xenoblade existed till you
Well,
guys
that was
told me
because
years
they
later.
initially weren't going to bring it over with the whole project.
That's
Yeah,
the
people
thing.
are-
Like,
and another
I mean-
thing with the Wii as well. It was a whole mentality about no one like that. And the casuals, the gamers, the people who we called gamers, they were already done with that console. Already done that.
well, I was just
console with
pointing out how
fans.
Nintendo puts out their once a generation games, and once those are all released, yeah, you have your other, you have your unique games and your other games like that. But from
Yeah, but
Nintendo's
I'm saying-
standpoint,
No, but I
They're
don't
they're not
buy
going to
it because-
re-release all these. They're
that-
going to
No,
release.
but when
No,
I'm
but-
the point. I was
I mean,
going
at
to
that
say
point,
real
their
quick.
generation's done for them. I mean,
Real quick, I was just gonna say, and that's probably the reason why I look at it. It's a hybrid console. They obviously are taking more of a handheld business approach with it. The 3DS got what, 2 or 3 Kirby games, 2 or 3 Zelda
I was
games.
just gonna say that shit, you bitch.
Yeah,
That's why
yeah,
you
got one
yeah,
unique
yeah.
Zelda
Say
game.
that as well.
You
It's
had
like,
like
what
2
was
or
the
3
lifetime-
Zeldas. You had 3 or
Yeah.
4 Marios on the 3DS.
And it's like, what was the lifetime console games that Nintendo have left? We got normally Mario Kart, you got Animal Crossing, and I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything else.
Big 2D Mario game, new 2D Mario game, Donkey Kong. Talking about what's left for the Switch.
in terms of once in a lifetime where you only see one entry anymore.
That you only see one entry.
Smash, Mario Kart,
Smash.
Animal Crossing.
But Smash has become such.
yeah, those are the ones. Those are the ones I just mentioned. But we could get a Mario Kart 9. I know we're debating saying hold it for the next console.
I'll put it this way: if we get a Mario Kart 9, it would probably come out either this year or next year. I would
Yeah,
think.
we could get a Mario Kart 9. We could
We
easily
get a Mario
we
if
could
they
easily
if they plan to keep this going for like another 4 to 5 years,
Yeah.
if they put out one now, it would carry them.
we could easily get another Kirby, another Yoshi, and
Yeah.
another
Oh,
Super Mario game.
Yeah.
I bet money we would get another Kirby.
Another Mario Party.
They have
We-
to.
we can get- yeah,
some
but we're
WarioWare
talking about the
That's
great
like-
Nintendo
And those
software
are just the IPs they repeat. We're not even talking about the ones they haven't used yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say because you can't. I don't think you can clearly state. Well, what about the games that only uses once? Because that just doesn't exist. The only thing we know of now, as some people state, that Sakurai said they're not working on the next Smash. But I mean, for
But
the
that
next,
makes sense
for the
because
next
they're
2 years,
still
we're still getting DLC for that game.
yeah. They've also changed their plans in terms of how they're pushing out games. Where a game will come out, but the game will be supported for like at least a year. So the game becomes not just a summer game; it becomes a 2019 to 2020 title. And they've been doing that a lot, almost to the detriment of certain titles. But that's another point entirely.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think once. I mean, we talked about Metroid Prime 4. I mean, that's a year in now with its start over. Hey, T, you there? This thing popped up on screen, but maybe I don't know if he's trying to talk.
Work in progress.
Yeah, like, what if that becomes the last year of this release of the Switch? But either way,
I mean, even just to give an example, look at because I think Retro mentioned it earlier how the Switch is still selling. Like the NPD numbers for January came out, Oh yeah, Switch was number one. And what games did we have in January? I think we had Tokyo Mirage Sessions, which I heard didn't sell that well. And then what was the other thing? I don't even remember.
No games came out on any systems actually. That of note.
January was pretty dry.
Yeah,
January was pretty dry in general.
Pretty dry in terms of anything.
So it's one of those things where like they're in such good momentum. Animal Crossing will carry them through the summer. There's no doubt in my mind that
January is usually dry because of the holidays right before it.
Well, it's also because the beginning of the year is usually the weakest part of like gaming releases. Usually we don't get anything crazy until like towards the summer, and then the latter end of the year is like nuts.
Yeah, well,
which it looks like it's going to be again, at least based off of what
I mean, it's kind of the same thing where right now I don't think we need a PS5 because I keep seeing this.
Well, that's true. I don't agree with that
this year. I'm looking at this year's lineup and I'm like, the fuck do we need a PS5 for, dude? We got
Sony might agree with that. They haven't. I mean, they might be pushing it till 2021.
The only reason why I think they might even are thinking about putting it out is primarily because they don't want to like lose market share
to the Xbox. And Microsoft has to. Yeah. Microsoft's in that situation Nintendo was with the Wii U. The thing's dead in the water at this point.
I understand like Microsoft because at the end of the day,
Microsoft they're in a forced position.
They just need a new console. Like nothing's moving really for them. So I get that, but I just feel like. I don't think I ever need a new console. They just come out with one. You know what I'm saying? Like I've never thought about like the PS5 or a Switch 2 or whatever. Like I've always been like I like playing my damn games wherever it's on. Like it doesn't matter. And to me,
I have to. Sorry, Rob, to cut you off there, mate. Sorry, I always cut you off right at the end when you're talking. Finish up, sorry, mate. Fucking hell. Sorry, man.
No, I just don't think we need. Like
I'd be curious if you'll still be saying that in year 6, though. If you're feeling that, I don't know.
As long as they're coming out with games, like it's the same thing with the Wii U. I was playing Color Splash or the month before the Switch was coming out. I was loving the game. I didn't care. They could have released anything. Like
I agree with that, and it comes to the same topic that Clock did, brother. With are we getting bored of consoles? I'm like Robert. I don't think of the same. Like I'm just. Playing my Switch, I'm like, oh, I wonder what game is going to come out next. I'm not sitting there like, there hasn't been a game in January. Fuck, I need a new Xbox fast.
Yeah, I need a new console, bro. Like what?
Yeah, I don't even know if it's actually about getting bored. Why people want?
I think it's because I think it's because they feel like they've done certain. Part of it's money. I mean, realistically, the part of it's just money. Oh, we can make more money if we sell a console for a profit, which. I think Sony, we kind of talked about it last week, but I think Sony's still in the position of whether or not they're going to do that. But PlayStation 4, they were like, fuck it. We're making money off of this bitch to the point where we don't know why. But the reason why a lot of us feel like we don't need a PlayStation 5 right now is one, Sony didn't really hit their stride, at least for me, until like 2018, 17.
I agree. Yeah.
Yep.
So it took them like 3 years from like, and that's not saying the general public felt that way, but like for some of us gamers, we were like, I've only really enjoyed this console for what, 3 years?
Since 2017.
Yeah, so
I got it before the Wii U that year before, so I've had it over 3 years.
I think for some people, I can understand a little bit when you, for example, take into account the Wii U or the Xbox One, where people feel like there's just no games, and people just think that if a new console comes, there's going to be new games on there. But then I'm like, okay, but like, look what the PS4 did. You know, who the fuck cares about Killzone and Neck? You know, and Resogun. I like Resogun, but I mean, those are the launch titles.
I'd be curious. I'd be curious to see where third parties would go if Microsoft released the Series X this year, right? And then Sony held on to the PlayStation 4 to like late 2021. I'd be interested to see where third parties go in terms of them creating brand new software, whether they would stick to software that could still run on the PlayStation 4, or whether they would dedicate more expensive brand new games to the Xbox Series X based off if it's selling or even just because it's a Microsoft console. I'd be interested to see what would happen in that scenario.
I think they would just develop the game for the PS4 and then push whatever it could to the max for the Series X. I think it would still just like the Xbox One X. They still make the game for the base PS4, and then they just go up from there with whatever.
The only
settings.
argument you could make is that towards the latter years, Xbox didn't get that much priority. Like there were certain games they just didn't get until like a year later. Actually, that happened with Kingdom Hearts and Nier, where they didn't get some of those games until like a year after the fact. And then Xbox got on stage and acted like we're getting Nier Automata. Well, it's been a year on fucking PlayStation. How's that a big deal? The question would be moving into the next generation for them with that change, where they finally get consistency. And part of me thinks not much would change, not only for the reasons that Juice stated that they would just max out the Xbox Series X version and keep the PlayStation, but also because like Xbox still has to prove that console. That console's still an idea that sounds nice, but I gotta fucking like it needs to be put out and it needs to make money, like dead ass. And the question is, do you think it's gonna make money? And as it is, it's not the most.
Well, they're gonna lose money on it.
Well, no, they're gonna lose money.
There's no way they're gonna. From what they're saying, that's an $800 console.
Well, if anything as well, the I mean, I think it shows that third parties, are one of the biggest drivers to new consoles.
Yeah.
Coming out, and Microsoft are in a position where, like we said, we believe they need a new console now just because of their sales, not because of what the Xbox One X can achieve, because the Xbox One X could still achieve an absolute bountiful of amazing games if we wanted to. But obviously they do move because of the money. But I mean, we also learned that Final Fantasy VII Remake is now coming a year later. It's exclusive to PS4.
Yeah, that was another example. Yeah.
So they could have that as a launch title.
Hey, I think I just heard T.
T, you there?
Oh, you can hear me now?
Yeah. What happened?
Welcome back, T.
I feel like I need you in this discussion.
I dipped out. Sorry.
Okay, so you just disappeared. It wasn't like the mic wasn't working.
No.
Yeah, because for me, let me just.
I know you're talking about Xbox One, but
we're talking about the length
Series
of
X, but,
the Switch's life cycle, and how long it can be. Honestly, I know it's gonna sound probably silly to say this, but if we're gonna get Breath of the Wild 2, we're probably gonna get Odyssey 2 or another 3D Mario game. I don't really feel the need for 3 3D Mario games and 3 mainline Zelda games on one system. To me, that's just because we never had anything like that before. It's just like redundant at that point. It's like,
well, I don't think
they're not gonna all be mainline titles though.
This is especially kind of like funny. I don't mean this in a bad way, but this is funny coming from a guy who doesn't want to play any of the other games except those games.
No, but
you savage.
But what I'm saying, Juice, I don't think we'd get 3D Mario games. Like if we got, let's say, Mario.
You guys are talking 8 year life cycle though. What are they gonna put out?
Think about it right now. We already have 2 Mario games on the Switch. We have Odyssey and Mario Maker, and those are 2 different types of games.
Yeah, but they already.
Yeah, but that's not.
We know a new 3D Mario game's coming within a year or two.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. A year or 2, right? And then that gives only
that'll be a year
4 years.
They could have 2 in 4 years, and you're talking 4 more years,
And then you would launch the next console with the 3D Mario. But
what are they going to release in year 6, year 7, year 8? Like that's what I'm asking.
That's on Nintendo at that point, though.
Let's remember that the Wii lasted.
You bastard.
The Wii was 6 years. It came out in 2006, and it was dead in 2012.
Year 6 didn't
I
count.
have to interrupt and just say something completely random, but I have to kind of agree with Juice that I feel we deserve 10,000 views on this shit, because we're not just 5 guys yelling Halo over each other all the time. I don't know, just
what are you implying?
It's a really nice discussion.
What reference is that?
So let's get T's take. Because I asked you, do you think your day one Switch will be working in 8 years in 2024, 2025?
Which one of his 5 Switches?
That's a good question, because that is something I actually worried about when we first heard about what the Switch could be. Because, that was one of the things. It's like, it's going to be a tablet, It's like, I was like, well, I don't think, I think there's going to be a lot of issues with a tablet console,
And I was talking about the sliding on and off of Joy-Con. It's just inherently is going to be
it's
less
already
durable.
screwing the F up right now. So like, what's it gonna be? You know, you're gonna be on your third Switch naturally by that time. But no, I mean it's obviously not the most sturdy console.
Real quick, I do want to say this real quick. You mentioned how you're concerned about having like 3 mainline Marios on the same console. But PlayStation had 3 mainline Uncharted's. We got the same thing with
PlayStation 3.
Yeah, and in my opinion, they didn't make a good Uncharted until the PS4 one.
Well, yeah, but the point I'm making is
in
that
your
even,
opinion, motherfucker.
all I'm saying is that and they mentioned in the chat, I feel like this is a really old example, but it is a true one, that the NES had 3 mainline Marios, but because it's the NES, I don't really. It's hard to make that argument.
On the Wii, you had New Super Mario Bros. You had
it's true.
Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. I mean, we're going into the old, you know, is
but that was the
3D,
only.
Is it 2D, whatever, you know, and all that stuff. It's still Mario.
That was the only time they did 2 3D Mario games in one generation.
Yeah, that was like wow.
Yeah, but most people fucking like the second one.
I know, but
yeah,
it's like what we're saying is that you're talking about what evergreen, once in a lifetime games.
Yeah, because they put out Galaxy 2 in 2010, and then they put out Skyward Sword in 2011, and it's like their library was complete at that point. That's how I look at it.
Their library was complete to you. Where's my F-Zero?
Yeah, but I don't think it was completed.
Where's my Pilot Wings?
Yeah, but are those going to carry?
Nintendo was done.
Are those realistically going to carry a 7th year for the Wii?
Icarus,
not
Star
by
Fox.
themselves, but the other thing is you're also neglecting the third-party games we'll get. Because realistically, that was kind of because one of my concerns, like when you put out that whole list about the Wii U games and the Switch games and how the Wii U and 3DS had more games, the main reason why people were more offended with the Wii U era having these gaps is, one, that the gaps were larger, and 2, those were like the only games. Like,
well, that's not true. The first 2 years they had 2 Call of Duties, 2 Assassin's Creed, 2 Batman games. They had current gen games that weren't late.
Two out of the what?
Yeah, but out of the 3 years I was making, it's not like they didn't have a bunch of indie games and major third-party games.
Yeah, like there's a different for one. We're also talking about a different time. We're talking about what?
The only real drought was that after the Switch launched until fall of 2013.
I'm talking about for all general gamers. Not everyone had something to play. Whereas you on the Switch, you can't make that. It's not the same way. The Switch just has a bigger variety of titles, and third party will be used to carry through different years.
Yeah.
It's actually been proven already. With the last few years, they've been using.
I mean, they can still bring 360 and PS3 games, I guess, 2 years from now. I mean, mostly what you're getting with third party is late or last gen ports.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but currently you can get away with that because, for one, some of these games have never been on Nintendo consoles.
Well, that was a problem.
But you think that's going to be okay 3 years from now, getting 360?
You shouldn't be
PS3?
okay now, Juice. But guess what? The games are still selling.
I don't see.
That's the point I'm making.
The general public
we think it should be okay,
that.
but if the game
we're getting the BioShock trilogy in 2023.
Yeah, but I mean that's my argument. We shouldn't be getting that stuff. I mean, you look at the Wii and the 3DS. The unique third-party stuff that we had for those platforms was just night and fucking day compared to what we got on the Wii U and compared to what we're getting on the Switch. If you want to keep,
if we're getting that stuff now, I'd say that's one.
But we're still getting. It's not like we're not getting unique third-party experience. We're just not. But I agree, there is an oversaturation.
I just want to say because you said like we get games like so late, but I mean, didn't Mortal Kombat 11 and Wolfenstein basically launch at the same time on everything,
but
including
that's
the Switch?
The exception to the rule.
So, but they had to catch up in the beginning.
You're talking 2 or 3 games have been day and date so far in 3 years.
No, what about Dragon Quest Builders 2? I mean, there's other games like
they are coming now.
Yeah, it's not like it's a slow grind, but I expected that because the Nintendo burned a lot of bridges with the last 2 consoles. So
I think it's not taken into account like EA companies are seeing shit now.
The Wii has its own brand.
Do you guys?
Issues.
This might be off topic. Do you think there's any chance of Cyberpunk 2077 coming to the Switch a couple years from now?
You're laughing. I say don't write it off.
Yeah, I wouldn't write it off.
Don't write it off.
Who the fuck was thinking the Witcher?
CD Projekt Red themselves have not written it off.
Yeah,
they've said themselves.
If there is money to be made,
if they can, they'll see what
But
they
they
can do.
want to piss people off.
But I'm saying if
I'd be
there's
shocked
money
if it
to be
runs it
made-
on the Xbox One S decently. Like,
All
I'm
I would
saying, but
say-
if
all I
there's
would
money
say
to
is
be
choose
made,
to buy it.
there's no reason to think they.
well,
won't
anyway, I was
do
just
it.
asking the question. I don't know the answer. I'm just saying. Do you
for some
think?
reason the game didn't do nearly as well as they expected, they'd probably push out a Switch. It'd be
Well,
like,
I'd have
let's see what
to.
the fuck we could do with it.
But you just look at all the from January last year to right now.
Right.
All the biggest major third-party games. How many released on Switch? I think it was Mortal Kombat 11. If you want to count Dragon Quest Builders 2. And
I'm trying to think what other third party. I went thinking about third party a lot. Like,
that's why I'm just trying to figure out what you're saying. All these third-party games are getting on the Switch. I don't.
I'm trying to
see
remember
them.
I'm trying to remember what third party games.
Yeah, hold on, I gotta look up.
I mean, there's a
because I don't
ton that
remember a lot of
didn't.
third party games in general.
There's a
like-
ton that isn't getting now. Do you think it's going to get them 3 years from now? That's kind of the point I'm getting to.
How
Well,
is it
like
gonna
I
get
said,
more
I
at
feel
that
like
point?
the way and I've said this before, the way I look at the Switch and its third party situation is the same thing I look at Xbox and its first party situation. The difference is that Xbox just needs to get better versus Nintendo has to prove itself and show those companies that they can sell those games and those games will sell on their consoles.
Well, you got the Outer Worlds that didn't come out yet, but yeah, the Outer Worlds that is coming out technically.
Yeah,
Like-
Doom Eternal, they won't even give a year for that. They just say it's coming at a later date.
The point I'm making is that Nintendo's third party situation was always gonna be a work in progress on the Switch. The
And
fact
the
that the
thing
Switch
is-
is selling and it's a better situation than what the Wii was, in the sense that they're still consistently putting out games. They're gonna do this port shit for a while because it's easy and it's cheap. And if it fails, they don't lose a lot of money on porting these titles. That's just
But
that's not our fault as consumers. That's the issue between Nintendo and that developer / publisher.
I think the biggest problem is because even though we said that, you know, it's gonna be the ARM architecture, it's easier to develop for, but the proof is in the pudding. These companies got to hire a whole nother company
That's
to
exactly
make
what I
their
was gonna
games,
say.
and I think that's the
But
biggest
part 'cause
hurdle.
It's cheaper than to do it in house.
And find a company that can actually pull it off. I think that's now, you know, Panic Button's getting
There's only like
probably
3 that seems to be-
overwhelmed, and now whoever did The Witcher 3, they're probably getting.
No, Witcher
calls.
was in house.
Those guys got bought now.
I thought it was Saber did.
No, Witcher 3 was done with Saber Interactive.
No, I
Oh,
thought.
okay.
Wait.
No, CD
No.
Projekt Red. They oversaw it, but they didn't.
Yeah, it was Saber.
Yeah.
Oh, they
It was
oversaw
Saber
it. That's
Interactive.
what I was thinking of.
Didn't THQ just buy them?
I think
I think
somebody
THQ
did.
just acquired
Oh
Saber
yeah,
Interactive.
they did, yeah.
So
THQ,
they're what did it? Well, I mean that may be, you know,
To be fair, that's kind of an issue.
that may be a reason they acquired them though, because they're so good with the Switch.
And
So THQ might be porting some shit, a lot more shit coming.
Yeah,
Well,
they
THQ's
put
already been
that
doing a
side
lot
of-
anyway.
Well, they put that
Yeah.
side the Genesis on the Switch.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a brand new release.
did that come out?
Yeah.
Yeah, that came
yeah,
out
Switch
a
version?
few days ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
wasn't that out last year?
What?
On
It
Xbox?
came out.
No,
No,
that's the
it
new
came
game.
out on PC and consoles was like a few months later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
there was.
and
there
then
was
the
a
other
lag
thing, I
between.
know you guys don't love talking about power stuff, but we said this. It might have been the same podcast a few weeks ago. You know, we know Nintendo kind of had to fast track the Switch. I mean, that's no secret.
Well, yeah.
And I said
Yeah.
they were lucky that the Tegra was just sitting there with Nvidia trying to push the Shield, and that was a failure, and they were trying to put it in all these cars. So they had these chips
Right.
just sitting there, and it was just like, it's not like Nintendo got to make the custom chip they wanted. You know, they took a off the shelf part, and you know, I'm not saying threw it together, but you know, obviously the Switch has some issues. You know, my kickstand wouldn't stay closed. You know, I mean, that's a minor thing, but still, I bought a new back for it because the thing just would not stay closed.
Mhm.
And so they basically, unless they do some kind of, this is how I look at it, unless they do some kind of revision where, and it's not just power, but just something that can help with this gap that the third parties are, like I said, they're having to find companies that can pull off a port. And we're surprised that people are surprised The Witcher 3 was even able to run on the Switch. If they somehow take that out of the equation, You know, they'll still have to make it work on the day one Switch and the Switch Lite and stuff. But if they can just make something a little more that's a little more appealing, and a little bit easier for these developers, I mean, I could see it going. But if they're just going to stick with, they'll put out a revision as far as just maybe the Joy-Cons will attach slightly different, or the screen won't have the border. You know, if they just stay with the exact same hardware, I just think they're going to lose a lot of the third parties, you know, by 2021, 2022. And at that point, that's 5 years. And Nintendo's cycles 5 or 6 for their platforms usually. And I don't know. I don't see them doing it.
I think that's a question like where each third party is more on a case by case basis. Let's take, for example, THQ. They've been, for example, from the Wii U. Darksiders 2 was one of the first games on it. Darksiders 1 was one of the last games on it. Now, too, you have studios like Bethesda and THQ. They support the Switch completely, and they release the games.
But where's Darksiders 3, though? Has that been announced? Or are they even
No, that hasn't been announced yet, and I wasn't really expecting it because the Darksiders. This is a whole different discussion with the fact that THQ was completely dead and they had nothing. So that's gonna
You're talking about two different.
Is here. Like when they started making Genesis, that one was here, but Darksiders 3 falls kind of in this black hole when the studios were kind of grasping and shit. But what I'm saying is that shit like EA, they're still not here. It's not a graphics thing. We don't have goddamn fucking FIFA and Madden and shit. It's not about graphics. Now, there are games. I'm usually the one I said from day one, dude, like Beyond Good and Evil 2, you ain't seen that on the Switch. I don't think it can handle that. But I'm also the guy that said, dude, The Witcher 3 is gonna run, but everything is gonna depend on whether the studios want to do it or put the effort in.
Yeah, it's gonna half of it's in the hands of the studios.
It's like Mass Effect Andromeda could easily run on the Switch. You know, I say easily. You can get a very comparable version of that on the Switch.
But it'll run at the same choppy
What was
ass,
that?
buggy
I'm
ass.
saying even from EA, they don't even bring that shit over. You know, I don't even want to talk about that company. Fuck that company. We don't need them.
Well, even something basic like Borderlands 3 could easily run on the Switch. I think.
Yeah, a lot of it, like I said,
we don't even have Borderlands 2 or some shit. They've made like a remade version of Borderlands 2. Even that's not on there.
The core of it is regaining trust with those companies to feel like to look at the Switch and go, okay, that's a financial investment. Well, now, I don't feel like they think.
Well, here's another way to look at that, though.
But go ahead. I think T was trying to say something before. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say how Japanese companies have no trust in Xbox, but they put it on the Xbox One because it's basically just a copy and paste situation.
Well, that's because it's easy. Yeah.
So that when it's that easy,
or Microsoft's paying them. I can't tell.
I don't know. I mean, maybe, but still,
I mean,
it's
we
not
know
a lot
that
of work
they've been
for them.
going to Japan.
Doesn't take
and
much.
You say that there's a fuckload of games in the past 2 years that came out on PS4 and Switch that did not come out on the Xbox One.
Geez, I think the stream has gone down.
Has it?
It says live.
You sure?
No, we're live. I'm looking at it.
No, it's live.
It says stream health in the green.
Yeah,
I got an evidence on my
I'm playing it right now on my phone.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
But we got to wrap this up anyway. So I just honestly, from the way Nintendo, like I said, I mean, this is how I feel. You guys obviously feel different, but once they kind of get through their major games, I mean, if you start just, like I said, putting another, they won't have to, but you know, as an example, they don't put another Animal Crossing type of game, another Mario Kart, you know, then you're just at that point, it just becomes redundant to me. So I'm kind of fine with a 6 year probably. PS4 is a different situation because I got it late. I didn't get it till late 2016, so I've only had it 3 years. But you know, they're putting out good games. So I mean, it's not right now. It could change completely a couple years from now. You know, who knows what will be.
You
different.
have to remember this. Everybody always forgets this when a company announces, "Oh, we could see this thing going for blah 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 years." That doesn't mean they don't have a new system out. Like 3DS, you know,
technically still gets supported last year.
Right. It's technically still live. It's technically still a console that's alive. So they could be talking like that. Where look at the PS2. Like how many years did that thing live, quote unquote? But nobody, you know, people weren't like big up on it in 2008, but it was still going strong. It was still selling console-wise very strong.
So, Juice, I just want to ask you a question. So you're saying that you can only see it for 5 to 6 years. Why can you? And what for you? never mind anyone else. For you, why is it only going to last you that long? What are the main reasons?
Just by then, they'll have all the games franchises I care about. I mean, unless they got some new IP and something up their sleeve that comes out.
You can't imagine them coming up with a completely brand new style of Mario game on a Switch.
I mean, at that point, how many games are we gonna have? Like, I don't know. To me, it just seems like
they might as well stop playing Mario games.
Like you would buy a new console and then buy another Mario game.
Yeah, but how much more can they do unless they got some amazing, unique ideas? I guess. At some point,
we said the same thing about Breath of the Wild.
Like I said in my Juice Opinions, or it was basically Juice Adventures, I called it. Nintendo's been at pretty much. They've had the same level visually. I know we're getting better and stuff since the Wii U in 2013, I guess, is when they really started taking advantage. And I gave the examples of how if they would have kept the Wii going, once they got to the Wii U level power, look at what they could do with Breath of the Wild. We don't know what, we haven't seen Nintendo with anything beyond basically the Wii U, type power since 2012. It's 8 years in. Who knows what they could do with, I don't know, PS4 Pro level power or something. I'm not talking just from visual standpoint, but just look what they could do with Breath of the Wild that they wouldn't have been able to do on the Wii if they just kept the Wii going for another.
But you don't
years.
see anyone else doing what they've done with Breath of the Wild. That's what I'm saying. That's my argument. You don't even see the biggest third parties in the world doing.
Yeah, that's other companies. We're talking about Nintendo.
Yeah, I know. So all I'm saying is we can still see it coming from Nintendo on their current hardware, which is more powerful than the Wii U. We can still see that coming. We see it in little areas, whether it's in
little
Mario,
areas, but like I said,
Odyssey.
I'd love to see what they could do, and just the fact that they could do a physics engine in Breath of the Wild. I think that was one of the biggest things that separates that game, other than the climbing. That literally couldn't have been done on the Wii. And there might be something like that. There might not be, but I'm saying I don't want to see them just sit here and kind of get stagnant with what they have to work with as far as from the technology standpoint. They could still make great games, obviously, for another 5 years on the Switch. But also, what aren't they going to be able to make because they're still on the Switch? I just want to see what they could do.
But don't you want to see what they could do on a Switch? Or do you feel like you've already seen what they can do on a Switch?
I think we're already seeing what they can do. I mean, like I said, it's not a huge. We're not talking a huge jump over Wii U. The portable Switch is basically the same, identical to Wii U in power. So it's they have to incorporate that.
This is where I completely disagree, though. Because Breath of the Wild is not a Switch game. Even Mario Odyssey, like we said, you have fucking flat grass.
Yeah, but we're not talking Wii U over Wii.
Beginning of the life. I think it's the effect, like he also often mentions, what we say, I think you say it too, people just remember, for example, the Wind Waker, the way it is on the Wii U, even though it looks like absolute trash. I think a lot of the games you already have now, for example, you couldn't do those on the Wii U, and they're still making it bigger and better. We're still on the beginning of the Switch. I think we're gonna see a lot more. I feel, for example, I would call Animal Crossing and Luigi's Mansion as the first few actual true Switch games. Even Odyssey could do much better still, like I said, because that grass in that first kingdom, that's a fuck no, So I think there's a lot more. When you see what the grass on the Wii U did in Breath of the Wild, there's no reason that grass in a fixed level in fucking Mario Odyssey is the way it is. I think the Switch can do so much more still. And it's like Clock that said, even if they bring a new system, and you're like, well, you don't want a new Mario game on the Switch, but you would buy a new Mario game on the other console, even though Mario games, they always hold up. I mean, if you're just tired of Mario games, I'd say stop playing them. But I mean, I don't see what a new console changes, because it's Nintendo.
So you think
I don't see what a new console changes.
Can still wow you from Nintendo?
Say what?
From Nintendo's point of view, you think the Switch can still wow you from Nintendo's point of view as far as developing a game that they haven't done already?
Because it's still the core of it's still Nintendo.
It wowed us with Odyssey and Luigi's Mansion and
Luigi's Mansion. Remember all of us? That game is
I'm just putting it in perspective. Nintendo is also not a company that really we know that they can do a lot. They can do a lot with graphics, but for me, Nintendo's always been the king of art styles. So it doesn't even matter if the game looks like, how do I put it? it doesn't matter if the game is like graphically intensive. If the game can visually do something different and have its own little style and flavor to it, I could give a damn. I could give a damn if it's not running Unreal Engine 4 or any of that other nonsense.
Well, hopefully it's not, because look at what
because like Juice, because Juice, like you want power, but compare the grass. I'm bringing the grass against easy comparison.
You keep talking as if like the Switch is some giant leap over the
look
Wii
at
U.
Uncharted. No, but I'm saying because the PS4 you say is so much stronger than Switch, and you want a new Nintendo console so it can do more. But look at what Breath of the Wild did with grass, and the fucking grass in fucking Horizon Zero Dawn or Uncharted. There's no comparison that the Wii U game had such fucking bad as shit. It's not about how much power you have; it's about how you use it. And Nintendo, they barely started using what the Switch
but
can
you're not. I'm saying look at Breath of the Wild versus the Skyward Sword. Like that's the kind of advantages. How many people praise Mario Kart? How many people praise Mario Kart 8 for all those awesome little details and all that stuff? We literally couldn't do that stuff. Like you wouldn't have that. They didn't have a replay mode where you could move the camera and stuff and see all that cool details because they weren't in there. Breath of the Wild.
I know what you're saying. It's not about hanging on to a console for forever. No one wants that.
No
one wants that. A console will come to its end point. But what I'm saying is we've reached a point with video games, with what they can achieve, both graphically and technically, that we are not seeing so many games being reaching their potential in so many different types of ways. I mentioned this with Resident Evil 2 remake. You know, it's like we're getting a Resident Evil 3 remake. We've had one brand new Resident Evil game this generation. We're not going to see another one. We're not going to see another brand new Resident Evil game this generation. And then you have to wonder, based off the remakes, what could Capcom do on the PlayStation 4 right now? They could still create something incredible that could make.
That's a different argument. I don't think the PS5.
Think so. I don't
think the PS5 is needed.
That template.
I mean, I think
but I think that's more an issue with Capcom.
That's different. Yeah, that's a Capcom issue.
That's an issue with Capcom.
I'm just saying, look what happened when Nintendo actually took a massive leap. It wasn't just for the visuals. It was just for what the hardware could do, what the game engines could do versus the Wii. Because I don't see the Switch. Like
you don't think the
portable
Switch
mode
can do that.
Switch is literally a Wii U. I mean,
it's not literally a Wii U.
Yeah, I don't think that's
specs
true.
wise. It's factually a Wii U. It's actually a little bit less powerful than the Wii U.
I don't agree with that.
Look, I mean, it runs the game. It runs Wii U games at the same resolution as a Wii U. Like it.
He's not far off. It maxes off at 720p, obviously, but
and you don't think Luigi's Mansion 3
are sub 720p?
Luigi's Mansion 3 could have been on the Wii U at 720p. Like it's just. So what I'm just saying is,
but that's the issue of diminishing returns.
I'm thinking about all the.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's an issue of diminishing returns between console generations because there are a bunch of. You can make the same argument for PlayStation 4 games on the PS3. There are a bunch of. Go ahead. Sorry, Rick.
All I was going to say, that's me with that argument saying, "Fucking hell, man, the Wii U could have done so much more." Because we know it could. But it got cut off short, and now you're asking the Switch to be cut off short.
Cut off short.
Because you feel like it's done.
I'm talking 5-6 years, a normal generation.
And we've had 3 years.
You guys are talking 7, 8, 10, 9, 10 years. Like I just don't see it. I just think it's just gonna get stagnant at some point. Like
you're thinking it's going to get stagnant because of the graphics. That's what you're thinking.
The graphics and the fact that we're already going to see all their major franchises.
But then
you're acting like we can't have any new gameplay ideas all of a sudden because of what controls, because of what there's nothing stopping it apart from the developers.
It's literally up to Nintendo. It's literally up to Nintendo.
Which is why we got Breath of the Wild on the Wii U, pissing on PlayStation 4 games. The Wii U showed that you can create these amazing physics engine open worlds on Wii U hardware. You didn't need the PlayStation 4.
No, and I'm saying look what they did with the Wii U. I'm just excited about what they could do with more. I mean, I don't know any other way
Yeah,
to
I
put it.
get that. I get that, but I'm just. I suppose I'm just not there because I'm enjoying.
I'm
the
not
Switch.
talking about cutting the Switch off at 4 years. Like I'm saying, a normal console generation for Nintendo, I'm fine with, and you guys are saying it should go longer, and I don't. Feel it.
I don't know.
I don't think they're gonna have a choice. 3 years from now, I think they're gonna have to move on. So none of this really matters. Like,
No,
I mean, you could make that argument about every console ever. Like
Well,
they could have kept
To
it
be
going
fair,
another
it's a
2
fair
years.
It's a fair argument for consoles like the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4. I feel like both of those consoles have been cut off short.
Well,
The PlayStation 3, that's such a unique situation because of the architecture. They didn't even figure it out till
really
year
start
3 or
tapping that
4.
thing
Well, that was the point.
I think the Switch hasn't got some magical, thing that people can tap into, and all of a sudden you're getting Uncharted 3, visuals compared to whatever the first.
So imagine
But
never
that's
3
how you have
years
it.
of the PlayStation 3 doing that.
But that's how you have it in every console, even the NES.
that's what I'm
People, okay,
saying.
you can put a pixel here on the screen. That is literally everything the NES can do. But then look at the games they released at the beginning to the games they released at the end. Like this.
I mean, they could have kept putting out.
In 1992, nobody was being awed by the NES.
But we just use the argument of the PlayStation 4 that we feel that some of us feel that only 2 years ago they actually just started like hitting their stride and that kind of
But it's a powerful console. You have more range. You have more ability to do more stuff. You don't have that on Switch. Switch was already behind when it came out, so it's different. That's why it's different. You can't put it in the same on the same level as that because those systems were more powerful. There was still more tapping to do. I don't feel like there's a whole lot more tapping to do on the Switch because it's already
When
near
you say
its peak.
tapping, I can't.
I'm saying there's more tap. I'm saying there's more tapping to do with the games. with the
there's
games.
always, I mean, you can do that.
Themselves.
You can do that with the 3DS right now. But that doesn't
with the
mean it's gonna
games.
still be around viable. People are gonna be buying stuff. I mean, that's just
but that's up to Nintendo.
It's an
to
interesting
games to
discussion
justify
to have just in general, like the console generations overall, all time. But honestly, like you couldn't tell me you would have wanted the NES generation. They could have kept making great games. Nintendo could have made a 4th Mario game that was amazing.
They wanted to keep going.
Look at what Super Mario World ended up being. So I'm
riding
just
that gravy train.
I don't know.
No, I like I said,
Genesis said, "All right, keep on playing with us. We're gonna take over the market."
Just for me to finish off, I want to make it clear that I don't. It's not that I hate new generations. I look at the games. It's like when I look at the GameCube, and I look at Resident Evil 4, one of the last games to come out on the GameCube, right? That's the only game on the GameCube that we got to see looking like that from that one company. We saw it from no one else because the GameCube got cut off. And I'm just thinking, man, if Resident Evil 4 can play and look like this on the GameCube, what have we been playing this whole generation?
Right.
You see those peak games, and you think, fucking hell, I could have another 3 years of great games like this.
But the peak games usually come at the end of the generation.
Yeah, because when everyone started to get in.
But you could say that about Xbox OG as well. Like when
but we weren't disagreeing
because
with
those
that
consoles
statement.
were powerful, man. Those consoles were
They were all on the same
out.
plane.
Yeah, but the difference is I don't disagree with that statement. I don't disagree with the idea that I feel like it's not just Nintendo. I feel like it happened with the other consoles
we're
too.
also kind of ignoring just the whole fact that technology evolves so quickly, and you guys
to the detriment of game design, and we've seen that.
I'm not talking about just game technology. I'm just talking about technology.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying in game design,
in 3 years from now, there's going to be the smartphones are just going to absolutely destroy the Switch from running games. Right now, they can't really run. They can have like Fortnite technically runs at a higher resolution, but it's running way lower assets than the Switch version. 3 years from now, the cell phone games are just going to absolutely destroy what the Switch is outputting. It's not going to have great games, so obviously that's different. But I'm just talking about technology in general. You got TVs. I know you guys don't care about TVs, but the TVs
not to the extent that you do
are a driving force. I guarantee you that's the main reason PS4 Pro and Xbox One came out, because now you got 4K TVs and they have consoles that couldn't
But
support them.
Nintendo's focus has never been.
So I'm just saying, like, that's just technology in general. Nintendo's definitely different, but
Nintendo pushes tech, but Nintendo always pushes tech in a different way.
They push, they pick and choose weird stuff. Because didn't
you say the other day that you were playing a game on a Nintendo game on your 4K TV or something?
Mm-hmm.
And it still looked great. It's you pick the right games. You choose. This is what Nintendo do, don't they? They understand exactly how you view their games.
Let me just
wrap this up.
I mean, this is the last thing. As far as especially the PS2, GameCube, Xbox original era, Xbox and the GameCube had to tap out because they were getting their asses curb stomped by Sony and the PS2. So yeah, we didn't get the potential that we could have got with those systems, but they had no choice because nobody cared about their console.
The Switch
Everybody
is
was on
different because
PS2,
it's
which obviously went on, but even it moved on. Even Sony moved on after what 5 years, 6 years, roughly, because the industry had moved on. We started getting HD, and everybody wanted to move into that era. So even when the difference between like PS3 and Xbox 360 and whatnot, those systems already hadn't started peaking yet, and so people were like, "Why are you guys moving on?" We just got look at the visuals we're getting with these late games.
But third parties were really begging for more.
But yeah, third parties.
Yeah,
were
but
like,
they're the ones who are going to dictate it. Yeah,
which we said
they drive the industry.
Because the Call of Duty was the biggest game, no question, that time. And they're like, the guy's like, getting back to cell phones, I forget it was the guy that runs the Black Ops studio, Treyarch. He's like, your cell phone has like 4 times the RAM of this 360. It's hard to do more, and other than just, they're releasing the same type of game. Obviously, they're doing a yearly game. It's completely different, but they're just like, we can't do much more. We're tapped these things out. There ain't nothing more to do.
I think this is maybe the point. I think this is maybe why we're all kind of different. I think me and Collected are maybe in a different camp than Juice and T. Let me put it from my perspective. I don't care if they do more. I don't need them to do more. If they release a new Mario game that looks like Odyssey, I'm happy. If they release they're doing it kind of. If they release a new Breath of the Wild that looks and plays like Breath of the Wild, but it's kind of a different Zelda, I'll be happy. If they release now an F-Zero that plays as fucking smoothly as Mario Kart does, I'll be happy. I don't need shit to keep getting better and better. I just want more games.
I think that's a different argument. Nobody's saying that we wouldn't be happy.
Well, you guys keep saying
I'm
that
just saying,
it's a cutoff point. It needs a new console because it needs to look better. That's what you're saying.
It's getting late now. I'll finish off with this, right? All I'll say is that we said third parties drive the industry, in terms of new consoles and stuff, but these fuckers still give us shit like Assassin's Creed Unity and stuff like that. It's just like, the developers that we have, I'm not a game designer. It's always stupid, and to chew out these guys who make these big games. But when they still make shit, they still make absolute shit. When they get these brand new consoles and stuff, and they haven't even mastered their last console. So, it's just that argument of, are you even ready to move on yet? I don't think you are, brother. Not when you make Assassin's Creed fucking Unity.
You're making it sound like I'm ready to move on right now. I'm talking 3 years from now, 2.5, 3 years. Like, I'm not talking right now.
No, sorry, that's me talking. That's me talking PlayStation 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, more so.
Yeah, I don't know. I find it strange that people are like dying for PS5 news. I find that's the most artificial. That's some of the fakest shit I've seen. I can understand Nintendo fans want to know about the NX because the Wii U's library dried right up in 2016 and we heard nothing. I mean, that's different. But when PS4 getting all these great games still, I just can't believe anybody that says that shit. I just can't believe it. So we'll see.
We agree on that last part.
We'll see 2 to 3 years from now if you guys are like, oh man, just keep bringing me the games, or if who knows, you might.
Well, the problem is,
at the end of the day, if I'm a gamer, if the games are still good and I'm enjoying the games, I can give a fuck less about like.
I think that's everybody. I don't think anybody. I think.
And that, like I said, that could
I don't know if that's everybody. Not the guys that beg.
I think you could apply that to every console.
No, I mean, I'm talking about in this group. I'm talking about.
At some point, you gotta cut. You gotta move on. At some point, you gotta, like I said, technology moves so fast.
That's the technology obsession. That's the worst case scenario.
That's like trying to stop.
When you're more interested in new tech than you are in the shit the tech
in the games. Yeah,
I mean,
then you become an Xbox.
That's like trying to stop the population of the.
Well,
to
be fair, Xbox fan, a lot. I think since the 360, Xbox became more about features and fucking.
Well, I think they're trying to change that, and that's why you have a lot of crying and whining on the Xbox side. They don't want that change. They don't want it. They don't want.
We'll see what happens.
I think third parties are. I heard a report that they're saying they don't want the PS5 out yet. They don't want. They
don't because they're making money off of it.
So
I don't blame them. Don't blame them at all.
So anyway, we're gonna wrap this up. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
They got wild at the end.
We'll see you next week.